Well, hi everyone.
Ahoy!
How's it
Howdy.
going? Hey everyone, welcome to Nature Check, the show where you come for the game and stay for the science. First, we're going to do introductions as always. My name is Sheryl, and I'm almost ready to start my PhD at a new university. A few more things to do. It's very exciting. I focus my research on restoration ecology, and I love dung beetles. When I'm not doing research, I make videos on the Roving Naturalist on YouTube. And I'm going to be the DM, GM, whatever. But Joe is the person who first tweeted about this idea and got us all together, so I'm going to let him introduce himself next.
Hi, I'm Joe Ballinger. I am a PhD student from the University of Wyoming, and I am trying to figure out why weeds hurt crops. And right now I'm preparing for harvest season, so that is something that I am told that I am only going to look forward to once. So, yeah, I'm really excited about my project, and hopefully I'm going to have the opportunity to talk about that a little bit more.
I think we need to get you a really styling straw hat. And to your right on my screen is Nancy.
Hi everybody, my name is Nancy and I'm an entomologist, which means that I study bugs, and I live in Quito, Ecuador, where I conduct personalized insect tours. So basically, if you're interested, I drag you into the jungle and show you all the cool bugs that live in Ecuador.
That was far more sinister than usual.
Yeah.
Drag you into the jungle.
Drag you against your will, sort of.
Oh, man. And last but certainly not least, Peter.
Hi, everybody. My name is Peter Coffey. I'm also an entomologist. I am a county agriculture agent, which means that I'm faculty at the University of Maryland, and I do science communication full-time, but only in one county in Maryland and only for farmers. Try and sketch that out as much as I can, so I do a lot of, social media, and I take pictures and stuff like that too. And I'm always open for more collaborations. So if you want to work with me, especially if it's agriculture adjacent, hit me up.
And if you're watching us on Twitch or the recording later on YouTube, or listening to us on wherever you find podcasts, you can follow all of these lovely people. Their socials will be down in what we're calling the reference section below. Yeah. Unfortunately, we will be missing 2 players tonight. Rebecca needed to duck out of the game, so we won't be seeing Artemis for a while. Ryan is just absent tonight, so Fletcher will be rather even more quiet than normal. But he'll still be around if we need him for combat or anything. If you're watching us right now live on Twitch or Periscope, first of all, thanks for being here. We really hope you'll enjoy what you're going to see this evening. And secondly, if you have any questions for the cast about science or the game or anything, please tag our mod Hypertesseract in the chat, and he'll pass your questions along to us. So get to chatting. Last bit of housekeeping, which I already sort of mentioned a little bit, is the socials. You can find Nature Check on Twitter at @CheckNature, because someone else is sitting on the @NatureCheck handle. So please follow us there for updates on scheduling and posting of the podcast and the Nature Chat episodes and things. Please subscribe to Nature Check both here on Twitch and on YouTube. Subscribing really helps us out. Every game session will be uploaded and archived on the YouTube channel, and that's also where you can find our after show recaps, Nature Chat. So go check that out. You can also get both the episodes and the Nature Chats in podcast form on Podbean, Google Play, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, whatever it's called, and Spotify. So yeah, anywhere and everywhere podcasting is happening, I guess.
I did know Apple Podcast was a thing, and I really thought you were going to say apple pie, and I was confused.
Apple pie.
Yeah, you don't know about apple pie? It's the new big thing. All the kids are into it these days. You still out of touch, Nancy.
I can't keep up with all of these ads.
I can make at least 3 different delicious apple pies. So.
Yeah. If only we were all at the same table.
Yeah. You're just a tease, Joe.
Yeah, right? Does anybody else have anything they'd like to plug?
No.
Not at the beginning.
Okay. Well, if there's no other delay or procrastination to be had, then I guess we'll get started. Civilizations grew, flourished, and fell on the continents of Lacidest for hundreds of years. But in the year 885, everything changed. Where once the gods of the pantheon held sway over various continents and made their presence known in frequent and tangible ways to mortals, now a dread silence and emptiness reigned. Civilizations fell into internal turmoil, and tensions mounted between empires. The faiths of nations were shaken, and new versions of old religions began to sprout. Spells once commonplace and relied upon, those that required the gods' particular attentions, no longer functioned. Access to and contact with all other planes disappeared or seemed blocked. The continent of Arda, still colloquially known as the God's Garden, was once the sacred and protected realm of Obed High and Ilana. At the moment of the loss, the strong protective spells surrounding the continent fell, and the shores and interior became accessible to any who wished entry on whatever business. In 952, a ship from the Tenebrian navy took shelter in the large river mouth at the southeastern corner of Arda, and the sailors erected a small fort for protection. Over the years, the fort grew into the town, and the town grew into a small city. While Tenebria officially holds no claim over Arda, no outside nation has yet claimed dominion over the entire continent, New Sechester is, for all intents and purposes, a Tenebrian colony. Now, it is early evening on Selunem, the 22nd day of Mistrun in the year 972. The adventurers encountered some strange fish-like humanoids in the seagrass bed where they were searching for the endemic plant gildaweed for the girl Carissa. After dispatching these strange creatures, the group gathered some gildaweed. Unfortunately, Fletcher also triggered the release of a wayward water elemental, which the group also successfully fought. You were able to sell the extra gildaweed to Elsa, the apothecary. Then Lucanus convinced Wargent Johns, the owner of the brothel, to let you take Carissa on a date for the night. Instead of a date, you took her out to a deserted stretch of beach, fed her the gildaweed, and watched her transform into a mermaid and swim away. You learned a valuable lesson about accepting valuables. We learned that Cedric is almost as good at flirting as Lucanus is. And y'all need to figure out what you're going to do now. Fletcher is up in his room in the Marked Bird, studying the purple seaweed you collected. Artemis is sitting in the dining area of the Marked Bird. Kay went to speak to Azzie, and Lucanus and Cedric were on their way back from the weaponsmith. Kay, let's start with you. So you went off to find Azzie, and you find him sort of in one of your usual hangout spots. Oh, hey.
Hey.
What's going on?
Life was weird. Here's the rundown. The big scary dude, the big scary elf dude, somehow convinced a girl to go on a date with him from the brothel, and then we fed her a weird plant after beating up some bad guys, and she turned into a mermaid and swam away. That's weird thing one. And secondly, here's this cool pearl I found. You know how much it might be worth?
Whoa. Oh boy. Wow. You've had
It's been a
day, huh? Yeah.
It's been a day. It's been like 100 years in a day.
Oh man. Yeah, see, you go mixing yourself up with people that are weirder than me, and that's what you get.
I didn't know there were people weirder than you. This was the problem.
Yeah. So wait, yeah, he is for real an elf? I didn't get a really good look at him, but that's crazy.
I mean, he took off all his armor and then waded into the sea turtle seaweed gunk. So
you saw him without his armor on.
Yes.
Yeah, and what's this about a girl and a mermaid and what were you guys
I don't know,
doing?
Apparently some girl who was like trapped in the brothel is actually a mermaid, and so we fed her some like seaweed stuff and she swam away.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how to like I'm not sure my feelings on the thing yet, because it was all fairly overwhelming, to be fair.
Okay. Did Johns know that was the thing?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's good. Well, I'll definitely keep an ear out for anything about that.
Yeah, that would be nice. Give us a
Hmm.
heads up if anyone, wants to murder a group of random strangers who just entered the town. That'd be
Well,
great.
hopefully not murder, but I'll keep an ear out.
right.
And then he looks at the pearl and, that's pretty.
Yeah, right? We killed some weird fish things that were definitely not mermaids, and I swiped this off of one of the dead ones.
Wow, you had a really, really busy day.
Indeed. It's been a day.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about pearls. But he quotes whatever number I quoted you in the email before. How much did I say?
I think 50.
Yeah, so he estimates. Oh yeah, it's probably worth at least 50 gold. Like that's pretty valuable, pearls. Yeah. Hey, I don't know what you're doing now, but I just wanted to let you know I've been doing some listening around, as I do.
As you do. You are the best listener.
I try. And I have heard some things that might be of interest to you. I don't want to say any more than that right now because I want to make sure that it's for real, and I want to make sure I have all of the info when I give it to you. So
wow, cliffhanger. Thanks.
Sorry, I don't want to listen, I care about you. I really do. But
enough to leave me hanging on a giant cliff of cliffhanger-iness?
I don't want you to go off and do something, more stupid than the other things you've been doing so far today, apparently. Because I care about you, and I know you, and I know that when you get upset, or if you got upset, you might do something stupid, and I wanna make sure that everything's good before I tell you things that might upset you, okay?
All right. You just sit on your cliffhanger and you let me know, I guess, if I should be upset or not.
I will get back to you as soon as I can. I can't sit, though. I've actually got to go meet a guy about some stuff, but I promise as soon as I know for sure, I will come and find you, and it'll be great.
Okay, awesome. I wish you a less eventful day than I've had.
Yeah, thanks. I would prefer to keep it that way. And he just sort of, flourishes his his coat all fancy, and he drops down the street.
All right, so I guess I go back to the tavern.
Okay.
Actually, no, I go home and get cleaned up, I guess.
Then
go to the tavern.
And get cleaned up, and then go to the tavern. Okay, so while she's doing that, Lucanus and Cedric, you were on your way back from the weaponsmith where you had pawned all of the extra weapons that you'd gotten from the random fish people that you fought in the seagrass bed. Was there anything else you wanted to do on your way, or are you just heading back to the Marked Bird? What's the story?
We're just heading back to the Marked Bird, so.
Okay. So as you guys are approaching the Marked Bird, all of a sudden you see the door of the tavern open, and you're still a ways off yet from the tavern, but you can see it. There's a lot of people in the street, but you see the door open, and a man comes out and sort of goes walking down the docks. And a moment later, you see the door open again, and Artemis comes out the door and is following that guy. She's definitely tailing him. She's not, walking with him or talking to him, and it doesn't look like she's trying to chase him, but she's just tailing him. Yeah.
Okay, Cedric is gonna stage whisper, I guess, at her. Be like, Artemis, do you need help? Do you want us to come with you?
So she does the thing where she doesn't look at you, and she just real small makes her hand just she's pushing you back, but it's down at her side.
Just okay. See you later.
That's your stage.
Yeah. I didn't know how well it was being picked up on the mic, so I just stage mic fake whisper, sorry.
Cedric is so loud that might actually be his whispering.
Yeah. Cedric is like all of the ag agents and farmers I work with, where you've been around, he's been around so much hammering and stuff like that, growing up in a smithy, that he's kind of a little bit deaf. So like he thinks that like speaking in a normal voice but making your voice a little hoarse is whispering. It's a thing I'm intimately familiar with.
Cedric's whisper is super loud.
Yeah, and Lucanus is just like...
Lucanus looks at Cedric and he's like, "Yeah, Artemis being Artemis. What's new?"
I guess so. So you want to head inside?
Lucanus does the gesturing thing with his fingers, and he's like, "Let's go."
How about a drink?
Trying to summon something. Guardian Leviosa.
Pretty sure I'm. Yeah. Am I still covered in blood?
Yeah, you are. But it looks good on you. The whole blood-soaked thing. It's a fashion thing that I personally really enjoy.
It's a good color.
Yeah, your beautiful, pressed and creased and nicely ironed white shirt is covered in several different flavors of blood and also seawater.
I feel like I'm gonna go up to my room. I'm going to go inside, and I'm gonna ask. Do you think they have any hydrogen peroxide to get the blood out of these clothes? I don't know. Is that outside of the realm of things that they might conceivably have this?
Well, so from me personally as a scientist, if I were to, make a big deal of the fact that I know how to get rid of blood, I'm kind of a little bit worried about what people would think of me.
Right?
If you've done field work, you've gotten blood on your clothes before. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so Cedric, you, I'm assuming you're first in the door here. So you guys enter the Marked Bird, and it is early evening, so it's about, early supper time-ish, but the tavern seems pretty empty. Like, there's maybe one or two people in there kind of hanging out, and Leon is just kind of, like this on the bar, just kind of looking around. He straightens up when he sees you enter, and, oh, you're back.
So, are any of the people in the bar people I recognize?
No, they look like random townsfolk.
Okay, so Casper's not around.
No.
Yeah.
Randos.
NPC number 1 and NPC number 2.
I go up to NPC number 2.
Have you heard about?
Have you heard are they both humans?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah,
most of the people in this town are humans. Like, as you've been walking around, mostly humans. Every once in a while, there's some dwarves and some gnomes and some halflings. But yeah, mostly humans. You haven't seen anyone who looks like Lucanus.
I am not going to waste my time proselytizing to humans.
Whoa. They're made out of lesser stuff.
Whoa,
exactly.
Strong words from Cedric.
Cedric is racist. In case you haven't picked up on that yet. It's a religious thing.
Can I trade in the rest of my earnings from those weapons for 1 month's rent? I don't know how much I'm gonna have left over because I sold like everything except for like certain weapons.
Sure.
So, but I definitely have 25 gold pieces.
Okay.
Did you just say that to the bar? I definitely have 25 gold pieces.
I mean, if anybody messes with me, I'm just going to get more blood on me, so...
Whoa. Cedric is like, what? You don't need to just threaten these people. Clearly, Leon has enough trouble getting business, but now you just threaten random people.
So Leon is sort of looking back and forth between the two of you as you say this, and he says, "Well,
he's kidding. It's all a joke. He wants to pay for a room."
He says, covered in blood.
It looks like you two have had a bit of a day, huh?
We have had a day, as I heard recently.
Mermaids, sea people. Yeah, you know
Oh.
how it is.
That sounds like a wonderful story. If you did want to pay for a room for the month, normally I charge 25 gold, or sorry, 27 gold for a month's worth of rent. But you all helped me so much the other day. I would be willing to take it for 25 if that is what you have.
Sure. And Lucanus hands over 25 gold.
Thank you, my friend.
Chink, 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 chink.
So yeah, he stows it away underneath the counter. Is there anything else I can help you two with? Would you like some dinner or a drink?
Oh.
I feel like, Lucanus, we need to have a conversation at least. Do you want to get a drink, or do you want to go up to your room and have a talk?
Lucanus, you know what? Honestly, it's dinner time, so I'm getting food because I've had a day.
A day. All right. Yeah, I'll have what he's having.
All right. So Leon says, "Well, so I have two different dinners that you can choose between. There's either I have a bit more pork left over from the winter and the butchering in the fall, and so there's pork and potatoes and some of the last apples from last year, or there's fish and spring vegetables, but that is maybe not so popular, so I have more of it."
I'm fine with whatever.
He's a terrible salesman.
He's just a nice guy.
as long as it doesn't make me sick, I'm gonna eat it.
Which would you prefer?
I'm gonna go with the fish and spring vegetables. That sounds nice. I've never had vegetables before, so it sounds good. Are they some kind of meat?
Vegetables?
No. Growing up in the caves, there's not a lot of. It's basically mushrooms and meat.
Okay,
Pickled meat, salted meat, boiled meat. You know.
It's canon now that Cedric has never had vegetables before.
What? And how do you kill a vegetable?
Glyphosate.
Oh,
that's an inside joke. Usually we rip them out of the ground and then the plant is dead.
So violent. Yeah, I'll take one of those.
Okay.
Extra rare.
Okay. And for you, Lucanus?
I'll have the fish, and Lucanus just sort of looks quizzically at Cedric, like, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm going to enjoy whatever comes next.
Okay. So where are you guys gonna sit? There's tables, there's the bar.
I feel like Cedric sits at a table. He doesn't like sitting at the bar. It's too awkward.
Legs dangling.
That's what's awkward in all of that.
Yeah. You're not here. I wanted to say things during your scene too.
Sorry.
Okay. So
Lucanus is fine with tables because both tables and chairs can be used as improvised weapons and shields.
Boy, there's a lot of just exposition happening here.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lucanus, I think we need to talk about. Well, probably you need to leave town pretty soon because that brothel owner is going to be coming back for you. Now, I feel like I owe you, even though I did pay you to help me with this. I feel like you're the one that's taking on all the social responsibility and awkwardness in town. So, I mean, I feel like at least you need to lay low for a couple of days. This is all in whispering.
Well, sure. You're at a table alone, so yeah. You're just talking low. Sure.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you given this much thought?
Yeah, I have. That's why I paid for a month's rent. I'm going to need to recuperate from... He just sort of gestures towards this body-wise bruise. Whatever the hell this is. And, if anybody comes knocking on the door, I feel like I'm pretty well prepared, so...
You didn't tell anybody that you were staying here, did you? Like, Morgan?
Not that I know of.
Not that I remember from a month ago when we last...
No, I'm pretty sure he knows your name, although I'm not entirely certain. I think he knows your name, but you definitely did not tell him where you were staying.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm definitely... I can do some more healing on you tomorrow, so hopefully I can help you recover from that injury. But you are pretty noticeable in town. I don't know if you've noticed, but I haven't seen any other people quite as tall as you. Since
what,
the
huge
there
elf?
are definitely other people as tall as him.
Yeah.
But...
There are? Oh,
yeah. He's not freakishly tall. There are definitely male humans in town that are the same height or even taller than him.
Okay.
When I say you haven't seen anyone like him, you haven't seen anyone with the elven facial bone structure or with the elven ears.
Yeah. He's an elf.
I was trying to be circumspect about your deformed ears.
Yeah. No, that's fine, man. I'm an elf who's armed to the teeth. I know the deal, so I'm gonna...
Sure, yeah. I just didn't want to bring it up if it was... I don't know if you were sensitive about being an elf or something like that.
Not at all. Not here anyways. So, I'm just going to hang out in the hotel for a little while until we're ready for our next adventure.
Next adventure? Well, hopefully there aren't too many more. I'm here to kind of spread the word of Morid and not get into too many tussles like that. I realize they're a part of the job, but they're not really my primary goal here. You seem like a rough and tumble kind of guy, and I'm more of a, I don't know, spread the word of God kind of guy. I owe you, and you seem like a good guy, so next time you get into a tussle, I've got your back.
Oh, I appreciate that, but so let's think about where we are. We're in a city that is a port city at the edge of a continent that's relatively unknown. If you want to do some proselytizing, out there in the wild's the best place to do it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That's kind of why I'm here. I figured there's probably somewhere out there in the untamed wilderness, there's probably some lost tribe of dwarves that have not heard the word of Moradin that need to be brought, to the warmth of his forge. So honestly, I'm looking for that. Or if nothing else, I'm looking for, something I can bring back to strengthen my people. Something to, alloy into our culture. Or, I wouldn't be opposed to a little bit of riches. I am a dwarf after all. It's okay. I can say that. You can say that.
The Venn diagram of dragons and dwarves is
there is overlap there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious as to what's happening out there. Ever since the gods have disappeared, there's certain things that my people weren't able to do, and I'm curious about, what happened there. So, given that this is the Garden of the Gods, I need to get out there in the wild and sort of explore, poke around. So, I'm planning on leaving town at some point. But I'm not sure what I'm going to find out there, and I'm guessing that whatever I'm going to find out there is probably tougher than what I dealt with back in Udavin.
Yeah, I've never been to Udavin, but probably. But I feel like whatever we face, it'll forge us into finer weapons and finer people, such as you are.
Yeah.
You get an A+ for commitment.
It'll steal us to the challenges of this new continent and sharpen our skills and hone our abilities.
Oh, all the puns. At this point in the conversation, Leon brings over 2 plates with a nice assortment of sort of, fresh spring vegetables and a little bit of a sauce. And what could be called fish?
It's not mermaid, is it?
No. I mean, it is fish. It's just not, like, if you guys start eating it, there's definitely something off about it. Like, you've both eaten fish before, and this doesn't taste like any fish you've ever eaten before.
What would mermaid taste like? I mean, would the bottom half taste like fish and the top half taste like long pork?
Wow.
I feel like it's like beavers. Like the tail is considered fish in Catholicism, but the body is not. So yeah, I feel like it would be separate. Yeah, so you can eat beaver tail on Friday, but not the rest of the body.
Yeah.
We need to have a longer conversation about that because I am suddenly very curious about the history of that. But
I know a guy who he made a video about how people used to eat beaver tail, and it included him visiting someone who cooked it, and then they ate some. Yeah.
I have eaten beaver before, actually.
Oh, that's so cool.
The only like non-standard mammal that I've eaten is possum.
I've never eaten possum.
It's what's for dinner.
That's awesome. I would totally eat possum. Was it good?
It was all right. Kind of greasy, but kind of gamey. I don't really remember it well enough to describe what it tasted like, but I'd have it again.
Kind of greasy is a good way to describe the fish you're currently eating as well. Vegetables, they're green and they're kind of chewy. And they've got some very interesting flavors going on that are unlike any of the mushrooms or meat you've eaten before. But they're interesting.
I feel like this vegetable is like I don't know, it's a little too decadent. I don't know. This is some pretty fancy stuff. Where did these live?
Where did these live?
Have you ever fought a vegetable, Lucas?
To be fair, we did fight a water spirit, so you might have to fight vegetables.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many plant monsters in D&D, it's not even funny.
I'm definitely eating the next twig blight we come across.
Have you ever fought a vegetable is so going on a t-shirt?
Lucanus just shakes his head and says, "No, but I fed them before. Vegetables are hearty eaters."
All right, yeah, fair enough. Sure, yeah, we've got pigs back home, so I know what that's like. This fish isn't particularly good, though. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm not super into it.
Didn't somebody try to kick Leon's ass over the fish?
Yes, I had totally forgotten that. That's kind of how we met Leon, isn't it?
Yeah. What do you think is up with that?
I don't know. I don't really know that much about fish. Are there different kinds of fish? Do they taste different?
Why aren't I there?
Yes.
You said you were sheltered, but this is amazing.
Yes, there are in fact different kinds of fish. I'm pretty sure we just fought 2 of them today.
Oh, what those weren't fish? Is anything with scales a fish? Is anything that lives in the water a fish?
Oh boy.
That's a good question.
Discuss. What is a fish? All right, so if you don't know what the bell is for, the bell is when we signal that the players can come out of character for a moment and, take a drink of their beverages simultaneously, apparently, and also talk some science as their real selves. So yeah, what is a fish?
Definitely not a mermaid. Maybe we should start with how would we classify mermaids?
Oh man, that's weird.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, they're human whales.
So,
But
okay.
they have a whale.
They do have scales.
I
So
mean-
probably everybody that's watching this understands that generally the way we classify things is something that, we have an originating animal and then everything that's descended from it, right? Our originating species or group of animals and then everything that's descended from it. Yeah, so the phylogeny behind Sheryl is a fantastic example of that. So you can see, like, way back when there was one red animal and then everything that descended from it is in that giant red. Sorry for you that are red-green colorblind, but it's...
Red is the protostomes.
Okay, red is the protostomes.
Yeah.
So there was one protostome, and then everything that's descended from that is a protostome. So it's all lumped together in that group. So presumably, at some point, there was one fish, and then everything that's descended from that is a fish.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how we group animals.
There's different
in
ways
science.
that we classify fish, though, because there's the things that were like pre-fish. So, like, the jawless fishes, so think, like, lampreys and hagfish and stuff like that. Although I guess the classification of hagfish is maybe a little suspect.
If you don't know what a hagfish is, Google it right now.
God, they're so good. They're so gooey.
Slimy boys.
Slimy boys. Was that your impression of a
Yeah, I'm a hagfish.
Okay. The privilege of being a man on the internet. Things you can do that won't get gift later. And so there's the jawless fishes, which are sort of like the proto-fishes, I guess. And then there's also the cartilaginous fishes, so think sharks, rays, skates, things like that, which are super awesome. And then you've got bony fishes, or the fish with jaws and bony skeletons, and they are, well, we are distantly related to them, so we are all technically bony fishes, among other things. And if you haven't read or watched, The Fish Inside You, I love that. Yeah, that was so good. So yeah, I definitely recommend the book The Fish Inside You. It was made into like a several-part TV series documentary thing. The Fish Inside You is very good. Oh, is it your inner fish?
Yeah, your inner fish.
One of those, yeah, something like that. If you Google one of those phrases, I'm sure it'll pop up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what is a fish besides having a bony skeleton?
Most of what we...
As I ask the entomologists.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, they've got tails and scales that are cold-blooded, and I think
they've got scales. Most of them are what we would call cold-blooded, although not all of them. So tuna, or at least some kinds of tuna, are actually warm-blooded with air quotes, because they've got some special kinds of muscle inside their bodies, and some sharks have this same kind of muscle, so when they move, that particular kind of muscle can generate some heat for their bodies, and it's because these particular kinds of fish or sharks dive very deep in the ocean, and so it helps them still
not die.
Well, it helps them move fast in cold water, because they're tuna and sharks are predators. Yeah.
So most of what we call fish are largely basal vertebrates. So the most primitive fish, as Peter and Sheryl mentioned, are hagfish and lamprey, which are they sort of have these rasping mouth parts, and they're kind of semi-parasitic. They sort of get fish, or they sort of scrape flesh from other animals, and so a lot of their ancestors were kind of worm-like creatures with a nerve cord running down the back, and if you go far enough down that family tree, you get to the ancestors of a group of organisms called tunicates, and these guys are actually a lot like kind of fleshy sponges, and some of them kind of look like tadpoles or jellyfish, and they are the basalmost vertebrates. Typically fish, though, they live in water, and not always, though.
That's true. Not
always.
In water.
So lungfish,
Lungfish,
for example, they hibernate on land, but they do pretty good on land. They a lot of them have a relatively simple structure, linear body plan, so spine, rib cage, but a lot of them, their fins can double as legs, so like mud skippers, and to some extent coelacanths, and those are very similar to our many great grandparents, because we share that's sort of the part where vertebrate or where land-dwelling animals sort of get off of that train.
Didn't know you knew so much about fish.
I know, I'm impressed. I wasn't.
Were you just reading the Wikipedia page?
Actually, no. I literally just dumped everything that I know about fish onto this video podcast, whatever the audience member is watching on, and that literally that's all of the knowledge about vertebrates I have as a invertebrate biologist, which includes plants, by the way.
Yeah,
you passed the quiz. You did a good job.
Yeah, so he's absolutely right. All of those things are characteristics of fish. We've also got, like people mentioned, scales. Fish have hearts and circulatory systems, but they're different than ours. So the heart of a fish is much simpler. A human heart has 4 chambers. You probably learned that somewhere along the way if you've passed high school biology. But fish only have 2-chambered hearts. So there's a lot less pumping of blood and a lot more sloshing. Which is, again, something invertebrate biologists are very familiar with, because there's a lot of sloshing of hemolymph inside things that don't really have circulatory systems to speak
all
of.
Slosh.
All slosh.
Yeah, all slosh.
All slosh all day.
All slosh all the time.
That is some entomology department's grad student t-shirt right there. All slosh all day.
And then, so we talked about lungfish, and so there are some fish that can deal with being out of the water for a while, and they're exceptionally cool. Shed Aquarium in Chicago, near where I live, has, or had, I don't remember, I think he might have died. Granddad was the oldest Australian lungfish in a human collection anywhere in the world, was in this aquarium. So yeah, lungfish are super cool, but most fish don't have lungs or don't do the air breathing thing. So instead they have gills, which are basically like lungs, but kind of inside out, so you can see all the goop. So if you've ever seen or
and they
handled...
get really interesting parasites.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you've ever seen or handled a live fish, you'll see the flaps on the sides of their head, and if you are able to see in the flap, it'll be very bright red in there, and it's all these blood vessels, which are basically just raw and exposed to the water so that they can filter out oxygen, because oxygen is not it does not exist in a very high concentration in water, so they need to have lots of blood vessels available for the oxygen to diffuse. Hi, kitty. Into their blood. Diffusion is a fun thing. So yeah, fish.
Well,
so,
and then
did
some of them
that we thought have gills?
Well, and some of them, they get supplemental oxygen through swim bladders. So if you've ever gone tarpon fishing, for example, tarpon are a really big sport fish, and they actually will go up to the surface and breathe. So the swim bladder is this organ that lets fish be more or less buoyant, and in tarpon, it's sort of evolved as a secondary gas exchange organ, and lungfish have taken that a step further to the point where they just need to be moist and they can live entirely on that swim bladder alone.
There's that word. Did the things you fought have gills? They did have a version of gill slits on them. So they had this sort of humanoid body plan, but it did look like they were sort of, that it was possible for them to be amphibious, because their heads and gill slits were above the water when you guys fought them, right? The water was not, well, except for Cedric, the water was not that deep. So they were definitely, they were up out of the water ways, so it looks like they can, similar to a lungfish, exist out of the water for at least a little bit of time.
Did Carissa have gills?
We're not going to get into the thing with mermaids and gills.
No. We can absolutely get into it. Are mermaids fish?
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm going to scroll through to the mermaid.
Because this would be confusing, because if they have boobs, then they're like mammals.
They
Exactly.
have hair and mammary glands. They have hair and mammary glands. And even though they have scales on the bottom half of their bodies, pangolins have scales.
Oh, that is true.
They do.
And
they have skin, so does a mermaid sweat? We were just getting all up in the
Well,
biology of
why
mermaids.
would they be able to sweat? Yeah, I don't feel like they would have at least lost the ability to sweat if they were humanoids who.
Well,
developed
so look
features.
at.
Can whales sweat?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I think they have sebaceous glands, because sebaceous glands do more than just sweat.
Well,
like it's there's a whole thing going on with those.
So
now we're starting to exhaust my knowledge of mammals.
Yeah, we need a marine biologist. We need a marine mammologist on here.
So if we think about the Little Mermaid, that actually gives us a really good way to differentiate mammals and fish, because things like whales and dolphins, they look very much like fish, but if you cut those flippers off, they got hand bones. Their bones are very obviously derived from the limbs of land-dwelling mammals,
and they have vestigial hind limbs.
Yeah, exactly, and they also have blowholes, which allow them to sort of breathe while surfacing. So.
The internet says that whales do not sweat.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, internet.
Back to the question about. Oh no, go for it.
No, if we look at if we ask the question of whether a mermaid is a fish, obviously they have humanoid features on the top half, which places them squarely in the primates. As Nancy said, they have mammary glands, or boobs, as we call them here on the show to be super scientific. And if you look at like the tail of the Little Mermaid, it is horizontal, like a mammalian tail. And like whales and dolphins, they have that horizontal tail because their tail is not primarily derived from the sort of fish tail. It's secondarily evolved. And even though they have scales, those scales are obviously something that came along later, perhaps for protection or, something like that.
Or humans lost them. Maybe mermaids were first in the evolutionary.
What? Yes.
The aquatic ape hypothesis. We found the missing link.
Well, there's a lot of primatologists who do not like the aquatic ape hypothesis.
Oh, I know.
If you don't know what the aquatic ape hypothesis is, quick, pause this and go look it up.
There's even a book.
and then find a primatologist and start an argument with them about it. They will love it.
So now
we'll circle back around to that one when we get a primatologist on the show. But I went to the D&D Monster Manual entry for merfolk, and it says this being has the upper body, arms, and head of a fair-featured human. Instead of legs, however, it has the scaled tail of a great fish. That's literally the physical description. So, do mermaids have gills?
So now I want to posit a question about mermaid evolution. So
I still want to talk about how they reproduce. But...
Yes, that's
no. That's sort of
do they spawn?
Yeah.
That's sort of what I'm getting
Do
at.
they have live birth? I want to know this.
Ooh.
So here's the thing. There is this thing called convergent evolution where similar forces cause other things to resemble, other organisms. So with mermaids, the whole sort of sailors' lore about mermaids is that they kind of lure horny sailors to their deaths. Right? So, I sort of made a big deal of mermaids, having human characteristics, but what if they're really just mimicking our secondary sexual characteristics as a form of, like, aggressive mimicry, like those orchids that lure bees in to mate with them in order to pollinate themselves.
There are so many examples of this in nature. There are different species of fireflies where they will mimic the lightning flashes of different species in order to bring them in and feed on them. Oh my God, that is a fabulous.
The thing about that is, for those intense symbiotic relationships to evolve, like both of those organisms have to be in close quarters for a long period of time. So how close quarters are mermaids and humans, and for how long of a period of time? Because there was a long time in human history where we didn't have boats.
Well, yes, but even
We
when
also didn't have mermaids.
even when we didn't have boats, human settlements have still chronically throughout history existed along the edges of waterways, right? Along rivers, along lakes, along coastlines, because water and lots of food come out of the ocean or out of those other bodies of water, right? So even if we're not on boats, there's still a really good chance that if mermaids existed, or selkies or whatever you want to call them, that it's not unheard of that humans would be in close contact with them, and that this predaceous behavior could have evolved. You know, I never thought of that before, but I really am a huge fan of that theory now, Joe.
So, okay, so the first example, I think Joe said it, is the orchid example, I feel like that wasn't explained thoroughly enough, and we should, I don't know, explain it a little bit for the viewers.
Yeah. So, actually, I just thought of a second example along this line, but so a lot of so flowers need to be pollinated by insects, and they have a whole lot of ways to get these insects to them. They, can produce nectar, and oftentimes that nectar has really addictive chemicals like caffeine and nicotine that get the bees coming back. But what some orchids do is they will exude mating pheromones from the bees, and these are secondarily derived, and they kind of
mimic of the mating
it's not
pheromone.
the exact same.
And it doesn't look exactly like it, but it looks close enough because insects are kind of dumb and really horny. So
whoa. You've already got over to the weed side. It's dark side, I see.
Hashtag not all insects.
I mean, so here's the thing. I have never wanted to have sex with a flower. That puts me ahead of a lot of bees, right?
Don't kink shame anyone.
Yeah, no.
So, yeah. If you want to have sex with a flower, that's fine with me.
But the point is...
But the point is, these flowers look enough like female bees to trick the males into essentially using them as the insect version of real dolls. And when the male bees attempt to mate with the flower, they will essentially find out that not really a lady, and they'll move on. And eventually they'll get tricked by another flower.
Some of them actually do deposit their sperm into the flower.
Oh yeah, no, they inseminate the flowers. So maybe.
So it's like.
Oh, then we get into the insect pleasure pain debate.
Oh boy. Well,
we're not getting into that.
No. That is an entire podcast in and of itself. In fact, I was actually on a podcast about that, and I'll plug that at the end of the episode. But, addressing uncertainty. So go and check that out. But, so then they'll eventually get tricked by another flower and deposit the pollen. But,
Sorry.
No, that's fine. So, in another vein, mantids, certain species of invasive mantids, what they'll do is they actually have mating pheromones that are similar enough to the males of native species that already live there, and they'll preferentially attract those males and prey on them, sort of like mermaids from the legends of old.
I like that theory a lot. Any final thoughts?
Well,
have we determined that mermaids are mammals? At least?
I think it's an open question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like because one of the things we talked about is mammary glands, or as Joe called them, boobs. Those could be secondary sexual characteristics, just part of the lore.
So we have to see, are they functioning?
I was going to say, if the lore doesn't say whether or not they actually function and lactate, then they could just be there as a mimic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were just a mimic. Yeah.
And among the audience members, if you have milked a mermaid, let us know.
Oh boy. Please let us know if you have milked a mermaid.
But so one other final thought from what I understand of the legends of mermaids, apparently that was like the sort of, so a lot of creatures from legend have real world analogs. So like the unicorn is sort of like a misunderstanding of what a rhinoceros looks like, and my understanding of the mermaid lore is that when sailors were going through like dugong and manatee habitats, they sort of confused them for human features, which really makes me wonder, like, about
how desperate they were. Maybe they are like insects.
Yeah,
remember this was before glasses were invented.
and also that this always fascinates me. Have you guys seen the thing about the first movie or moving picture that was shown in a theater to people? It was like a black and white grainy image of a locomotive, but the way the locomotive was angled at the screen, it like the people in the theater thought that it was going to come off of the screen and like run them over. And so it goes back to this idea of like, how do our imaginations work based on the technology or like the sites we have available, right? So like, back when it was hard to even get a drawn picture of a girl, let alone, a movie of one, maybe when you're out on a boat, anything kind of looks like a girl. Because like you just don't we don't have access to the same sort of like things to use our imaginations for, because of course,
and now we're back to the poorly drawn flower and
yeah, exactly, right. So yeah, like I mean that grainy black and white sort of shuddery video of a locomotive wouldn't fool any of us, but it's because we're very familiar with watching things on screens and knowing that they're not going to reach out and touch us. So like, yeah, it's this idea.
Also,
of, like,
these sailors had like never seen these animals before, depending on where they were coming from.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for the mermaid, like the position of the tail, I think, because is there any fish that the tail goes up and down like this instead of left or right?
Not that I know of.
Right, so that might be
when Mola Mola are on their side sunning themselves, I think they kind of use their tail a little bit to like, propel themselves, but that's like, it's not like, when they're right side up, their tail goes the way all fish tails go.
Could we make a case for flounder?
Flounder. Oh, because
well, they start out like normal fish, and then like literally everything shifts. The optic nerve actually passes through the brain, which is
wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That's my one fish fact.
We're done. Check. Good night, everybody.
Here's hoping for anatomically correct flounder in the Little Mermaid movie. That's all I want.
Well, he's a juvenile. He's a little boy, right? So
yeah, right.
He just hasn't done the thing.
Yeah, I hope that happens in the movie. He's just like, hey, by the way, right now my optic nerve is inside my brain.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right. Well, I think that is about all the things that us invertebrate biologists know about vertebrates, or fish at least.
It was a good conversation about fish and mermaids. I really enjoyed it. But now, Cedric and Lucanus, you're at the table talking about fish.
Did we just have this conversation like among us?
I had this weird daydream.
Yeah, I don't know anything about fish. We just had the one type of fish, like in the caves where I grew up.
What kind of fish were those?
We just called them fish. They were kind of pale.
Were they cave fish?
They didn't. Like no eyes.
What do you call a fish with no eyes? Anyway.
Is there a bad pun bell? We need a bad pun bell.
What do you call a deer? A deer with no eyes.
No idea. Wait, what do you call a deer with no eyes and no legs? Still no idea.
Yeah. We've just lost any cool points that we ever had.
I mean, we're scientists playing Dungeons and Dragons on the internet.
Yeah, but I feel like even for that, we've sunk to a new level.
I mean, all of my
handicap, and
all of my YouTube friends already knew I liked puns, so this is not new.
Yeah, no, my sense of humor in my lab has been described as pun bearable.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they're all lactose intolerant.
Cedric, cavefish, go.
Cavefish. You know, they're kind of pale. They don't have any eyeballs. It's like sort of see-through in parts. You know, regular fish.
No dark meat, I assume? Or is it all dark meat?
I mean, you eat it in the dark, I guess. Are you trying to make a joke?
Yeah, but I guess it sort of fell flat.
Yeah, I mean, it was all right. It was all right. Good. It's a good job.
Lucanus,
See, the thing is, growing up in a cave, you've already heard all the dark jokes.
must have a morbid sense of humor.
It's pretty dark, yeah.
Yeah.
To get this train back.
Well, this was good small talk dinner conversation. So, do you think that the wizard can clean my robes?
That is a good question. I don't know if he has any stain removing powers.
I should go find out. I'll see you back here tomorrow for some healing.
Of course. And Lucanus just sort of finishes the rest of his meal in shame at the joke that fell flat.
All right. So there's going to give you like an awkward like shoulder pat, but he like stands up and so thanks for everything today. You did good, big fella.
Lucanus just sort of nods, and Cedric and Lucanus shake hands before Cedric retires. Lucanus finishes his meal and retires to his room.
Well, I was gonna say, Kay, you said you were back on your way to the tavern.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, probably like as you guys are finishing and starting this awkward farewell thing that's happening, Kay comes in the front door of the Marked Bird.
Hey, team.
Oh,
How we doing?
hey. Good. We just had dinner. Sorry, we didn't wait for you. I figured you'd go home, eat dinner at home. I don't really know.
Nah, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
I have some of this fish left over if you want some. I didn't finish mine. If you want it.
I'm well versed with the fish here. Not my favorite, to be honest.
Do you know what kind of fish it is?
Bad.
Oh. Yeah, it's
no,
not great.
I'm not well versed in fish at all.
So if it's so bad, why do they serve it?
That's a good question. Why didn't we ask? Kay walks over.
Leon's still sort of like hand and arm on the bar, and
Kay,
hello, Kay.
Have you thought about getting rid of the fish?
Yes,
Where did we even get this fish?
Well, I bought it from your parents from the Prowell's store.
Where did we get that fish?
I would get it off the menu, but there's not a lot else right now because it's still spring and there isn't a whole lot else to buy yet. But yes, and he sort of gestures to the mostly empty bar. I think I need to pull it from the menu because this is not good.
Yeah, not good. Not good.
Did it used to be better, or is this a new thing?
Oh yes. No, I have had this tavern here for years, and the fish has been good for most of the time I have lived here. It's really only in the last maybe a month or two that I really noticed something. Maybe there was something happening before and I just didn't notice, but now it's bad.
Pretty obvious. Maybe I should. And you say you got it from my parents.
I did. They supply me with. I mean, you know this. You deliver packages here all the time. They supply me with most of the things I need.
I guess maybe I'll ask my parents what's going on with the fish. Maybe they'll know.
Well, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I will continue to use their business, of course. They're wonderful people, but the fish is just
Not excellent. Yeah,
No.
I'll put a note in.
okay.
Yo, Lucanus, do you have any plans? Like leaving, maybe?
Honestly, I was planning on staying in my hotel room for a little while, at least until I'm needed.
And when Big Scary Grumpy Man asks all around town and asks for you, your plan is?
I'll figure it out as I go.
All right.
I feel like that's
Awesome.
a bad plan. See, I tried to talk to him about it earlier, but
Well, you know, we're all entitled to our own terrible decisions, I suppose. That's fine. All right. Well, since you gentlemen have already eaten, I guess I will go eat at home. And what do we have a plan? Will I see you guys around? Are you guys leaving? I mean, Lucanus isn't. Are you leaving, Cedric?
I mean, I'm going to be here at least until tomorrow. I told Lucanus I'd come by and give him some more of my
Do
my
we have
healing
any
magic.
plans for
Well-
anything to do tomorrow? You're kind of like the most interesting people that have showed up here ever.
We had kind of made arrangements with that Casper fellow who was here earlier to maybe do some work for him. But it seemed like Fletcher was kind of our point of contact, and I hadn't seen him around, and so I figured I'd kind of hang out here and heal up Lucanus and wait and see what happened. I had hoped to kind of make some contacts with the local church, but my first impression of them wasn't super great, and to be honest, I'm a little bit hesitant to go back. The people here don't seem to be quite what I expected, to be honest.
You
So-
say that in a bad way. But maybe it's just because you've, culture shock and you need to warm up to us.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are great.
I'm safe.
Yeah.
I'm safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I will meet you guys here, I guess, tomorrow if you happen to be here. And otherwise, I guess I'm going to go home and see.
So, Kay, one other thing. Perhaps you could ask around and figure out why this Warden guy, why everybody's so scared of him.
I mean, doesn't he have didn't we figure out he has a bunch of friends who are all
Yeah.
real nasty? I mean, that seems like a pretty good reason.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to tell you. That pretty much sums it up.
Oh, just nasty friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's not a great exact person himself either. But
Yeah.
maybe you two could have a long chat. I'm sure you could change his mind.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Yep.
And
Yeah, let's meet back here tomorrow and see if maybe that Casper fellow shows up. Or do you know where he hangs out or anything about him?
No, I don't know him. I've literally never seen him before.
Okay, well maybe we can kind of ask around and find him. I'm sure once Fletcher's done playing with his plants that
You also might want to clean your shirt up before.
Yes, that is on my to-do list.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for the reminder. Yes.
You could also buy a new shirt if that one is can't be recovered to its original state.
That's a good idea. I should at least get a spare. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
You
probably.
came here with one shirt.
I would.
He's a man.
I can pack everything I need to this backpack.
First day gets rude.
I want to protest, but it's so true.
Yeah. Maybe you could get a blood-colored shirt, Cedric. Just
That's thinking.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll see you guys tomorrow. And Kate just stops the conversation, prances out of the shop. Out of the, bye.
Bye.
Leon sort of waves from the bar.
I guess I go home.
Okay.
Are my parents around?
Yeah, your mom again as usual, is because now it's sort of later in the evening. So she's at the table in the kitchen again, doing the ledgers as usual.
So, Mom, I have a question because I care about our business a lot. Do you know what's wrong with the fish?
Yeah, as soon as you say the word fish, her shoulders just fall.
Okay. All right. So apparently this is a known thing. I guess we've never had problems with our products before, and Leon doesn't have anyone in his tavern, and some guys try to beat him up over the fish, and
They what?
Yeah, they were like, this fish is terrible, and attacked him with sword things and stuff, pointy objects. And it was really scary, and there are these random new people in town, and they all jumped to his defense, which was really awesome. But they tried to kill him over fish. So what's going on with the fish?
That's really uncalled for. You were there for that?
Yeah, it was when I was bringing all of the supplies in.
Oh, are you okay? You're okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. I literally came out of the back, and then Leon was being threatened, and then this really big guy and this really short guy kind of went at them.
Okay, and Leon's all right.
Leon is okay. The short guy apparently did some healing magic-y stuff, and he's all better.
A slinger. That's interesting. Gracious. Well, that's a little worrisome. I didn't realize that it had gotten to be that much of a problem. Yes, the quality of the fish that we've been receiving from our suppliers has been going downhill, and I have tried complaining to them about it because I noticed it a few times. So I had a few customers mention to me that it wasn't so good, and then in the most recent transactions, I noticed it just there, as we were receiving it and before even trying to sell it. And it's, I complained to the fishermen, but they're full of excuses.
Where are we getting it from?
From, oh boy. Let me find their names. From Strongline and Twist Hook Fliddler. Only when I say it out loud do I realize how stupid those names are. Strongline and Twist Hook Fliddler. They're a pair of brothers who do fishing, and they've been supplying to us for a while, and it had been fine. But yes, the past few times I've tried complaining to them about it or asking them what's going on, and they're just full of excuses. I couldn't get a straight answer out of them. If you and maybe these intimidating friends that you've made,
they're not friends. I wouldn't quite go that far. They happen to be
these intimidating acquaintances. Cedric keels over in his room in the Marchburg.
He hears Kay's voice, whopped through. They're not friends.
He stares in the middle distance, crying silently.
A tear trickles down his face.
Well, all right. Well, these rather intimidating acquaintances. If you want to try and get better answers out of the fishermen, maybe we could sort this out, because otherwise I'm going to have to, stop buying from them, and then of course all the people in town who want fish aren't, they're going to have to go somewhere else, and that means it's bad for our business, but it's also bad for our business if the fish are bad. So
we're kind of in a catch-22, so it's a little bit difficult. Yeah, let me round up the intimidating newcomers and see what we can figure out.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Yeah. Is there anything for dinner?
Of course, yeah. And she sort of gestures.
It's not fish, is it?
No, of course not. And there's a nice there's stew and some nice crusty bread on the counter yet for you.
Nice. Aw. So Kay grabs some stew and some crusty bread and flops at the table and then makes small talk with her mother.
Of course. Anybody else doing anything this evening?
Lucanus ends the day by.
Since we already said goodbye to each other, it's now we have that awkward thing where it's okay, so see you in the morning. Kind of we've already said goodbye, but we're
going up to your rooms because your rooms are both upstairs and. So you say goodbye at the bottom of the stairs, and then also in the hallway.
Yeah. Then it's like, go ahead. You can go first.
Kay also asked her mom where the fishermen are. Are they by the docks, or do they have their own shop in town?
They don't have a shop. I don't really know where those two hang out. I mean, they approached us and started selling their wares years ago, and I don't really know much about them other than that they've been mostly good suppliers until recently.
Well,
I feel like there was a lot of food chain safety talk that we should just have right now.
I don't know who these people are. We just buy their stuff.
And meat? Are they not coming from a USDA certified facility?
We come back. Are these even fish?
They're probably not even using blockchain to trace their supply.
Let's get into that DNA sampling and how most of the fish you get at the store or at a sushi restaurant isn't what they say it is. And
oh God. Which, by the way, if you've ever had rocket shits after eating tuna, that wasn't tuna. That was a fish called wahoo that contains a natural laxative.
Joe knows a lot about fish. Who knew?
Now we don't have to have a marine biologist on. We're good now.
Move over, marine biologist.
Let's be honest. That's the only thing that anyone wanted to know about sushi. I mean, we could have a parasitologist on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, those worms that eat your kidneys.
Ruin sushi for everyone.
We could have all sorts of special guests on this show. Hey, if you'd like to be a special guest on Nature Check, you can tweet at us at Check Nature, or you can email me at therovingnaturalist@gmail.com.
All right, cool.
Be a special guest on the show.
So Lucanus ends the day by sharpening and maintaining his weapons, making any sort of repairs that need to be made, and since he's an elf, he doesn't really sleep, but his sort of trance thing obviously does not go well, so he's reliving something terrible in his sleep.
Neat. Anybody else doing anything with their evening?
Cedric is going to spend a long time trying to clean his shirt.
Okay. Sorry about that, everybody. The internet is weird. But yeah, so Cedric is spending part of the night trying to clean the blood out of his shirt, and then I'm assuming you'll eventually sleep.
Yes.
Cool.
No, Cedric's like...
He gives up after a while, yeah. He does his best.
Okay, Lucanus has an unrestful trance. Kay enjoys her stew and then sleeps at home. You all regain 1 hit point over the course of your night's rest, and that seems like a really logical place for us to take a 10-minute bio break. I know I said short ones before, but we're taking 10 minutes because puppy.
Puppy's actually asleep, so I can actually do 5 minutes.
Yep.
Okay, well then we'll take a quick bio break. And we'll be back here in a few minutes. Don't forget, if you've got any questions for the cast about science, fish, mermaids, milking mermaids.
Mermaids.
Yeah, please feel free to ask your questions in the Twitch chat or on Periscope, and we will hear about them and try to answer them when we get back. So we'll be back in a few.
All right.
Bye, friends.
Whoops. Coming back from these breaks, I never know if I'm going to be the first one back or not. Mm-hmm. How's it going, Sheryl?
It's going. It's a nice raw bagel you got there.
Yeah, I'm a classy guy. What can I say? Raw bagel and beer. I'm just I'm carbo loading for my big day tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. You have something exciting planned?
Some insect photography. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Nice.
I actually So earlier today, I drove down to the eastern shore of Maryland and picked up two new species for me, two new for my life list, and I got 3 specimens of Euschista species that I haven't collected before, and 5 of a oh no, I'm blanking on the genus name. Anyways, 2 species that are new for me.
What was the first genus?
Euschistus, the brown stink bugs.
Oh, stink bugs. Perfect. I wasn't sure. Because I knew you also had driven up north to get spotted lanternfly, right?
Yeah, that was actually last weekend. My plan was to drive to Pennsylvania. For anybody that's watching, so spotted lanternfly is an invasive fulgorid, I think, that is in Pennsylvania, but there's also a population in Virginia. And Dalton Ludwig, he pointed out to me that there was a population in Winchester, and he could tell me exactly where it was. Whereas the population of Pennsylvania, I didn't have like a specific location, so my plan was like drive around Pennsylvania until you find it, which is kind of a terrible plan. And he was able to tell me like go to here's the GPS coordinates, right around there you'll find some. So I went down there, and I was able to get some really great photographs, which was good because it's being in Maryland and having this invasive species in Pennsylvania and Virginia, we're right there in the middle, and so we're constantly trying to like put the word out. People should be aware of this, potentially harmful pest. There's a lot of concern about it being a pest it feeds on sap of woody plants. So there's a lot of concern about it feeding on grapes and apples and things like that. And actually, I think it's going to be a really big problem for homeowners in ornamental and landscape plantings, because it has this. So a lot of people know like aphids produce this sugary poop called honeydew, and so the spotted lanternfly also does this. They poop out. It's basically like maple syrup, right? It's concentrated tree sap. And it falls on leaves and fruits and things like that. And then because it's sugar water, it rots. So you get this like mildew, which can be a really big problem. And there are places in Pennsylvania where people are having, spotted lanternflies feeding on the trees above their house. The trees aren't dying or anything like that, but the honeydew falls on like their porch, and then it mildews, and then it's like super, super slippery. Which is if you've got steps or something like that, you can fall and hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Not typically a problem that people associate with insects, but yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, I'm actually from Pennsylvania originally, and it's just it's interesting because I've when I lived there, we thought a lot about a lot of invasive, specifically insect species that, a lot of them sort of land somewhere on the East Coast and they spread west from there. And so we were there for when gypsy moths were a big thing and the hemlock woollia delgid and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not there to see what the lanternfly is doing, but for people who may not be quite as familiar with them, it's called the spotted lanternfly, but is it a fly? Is it a moth? What is it?
So it's actually it's a true bug, and it's in a group of true bugs. So it's related to things like stink bugs and aphids, and a lot of these like plant-feeding insects that we kind of think of as crop pests. There's some predatory ones, but most of the ones that people are familiar with are feeding on plants. So it has kind of a needle-like mouth part, almost like a mosquito, and it's sticking that into the woody stem and sucking the juice out of the plants. So it's not a fly, it's a bug, but it's called a lanternfly. It's just what that group of insects is called. It's the lanternflies. And it's really big. If you haven't seen a picture of one, you should totally Google spotted lanternfly. They're about the length of my thumb, gray, and their front wings, the wings that you see when they're at rest, are kind of gray and have black spots on them. It's a very striking, interesting looking pattern. But their underwings are brighter red than Nancy's hair. They are scarlet. It is a beautiful color, and when they fly, you really can't mistake it for anything else. It's very, very noticeable. So it's a really easy to recognize pest, and because it hasn't really been recorded in Maryland except for like a few like incidental, there have been one specimen found, but so far it hasn't been established in Maryland. So we're really trying to get the word out and let people know, hey, be on the lookout for spotted lanternfly. Definitely look it up. Like I said, I took some pictures last weekend. I intend to get them up on my Instagram this week so that people will be able to, if you don't follow me on Instagram already, you should follow me and you'll be able to see some spotted lanternfly pictures. They're really cool looking.
Yeah, I love your bug photography. Yeah, and this is a fun fact I learned when I took entomology a few years ago. But yeah, you know that the lanternfly is not actually a fly because lanternfly is all one word. So like butterfly and dragonfly, they're also not flies because it's all one word. So if the insect name has the word fly in it, that has to, when you see it like written out, the fly has to be its own separate word as opposed to part of a bigger word in order for it to be a true fly.
The other funny thing about lanternflies is that like a lot of them have a funky nose, and so like the first like discoverer of them was like, I bet these things glow, and then called them lanternflies, and then later we found out they don't glow, not a single one. So not only are they not flies, but they're not even lantern flies. They don't have a lantern.
Wait, I'm super confused about this story though. What does the nose have to do with thinking they glow?
They thought they glowed, and that's why they're called lanternflies.
That's so weird. I love it though. I also love that both of you were eating bagels on your snack break.
I was eating peanut butter and jelly out of a baguette thing, to be fair.
Oh, it's a baguette. Okay. Sorry,
I don't have bagels in Ecuador.
Oh no.
Really?
There's like, okay, so we have ones like Mr. Bagel, which is like acceptable in emergencies, but it has like nothing on East Coast bagels. It's better just to starve to death.
Yeah. Don't settle for lesser imitation bagels. Yeah, you can't be.
Yeah, moving to the Midwest. It's surprising. There were a few people in my research group from my master's degree who were from New York State, and all of the three of us would commiserate about bagels and pizza and all kinds of other things. Don't at me. All of the Midwest. Nobody in the Midwest at me.
Well, while we're insulting regionals, so as a Southerner who now lives in Maryland, which is not part of the South, I have to suffer through. Yeah, don't. I don't want to hear your Pennsylvania opinions about Maryland.
My Pennsylvania opinion is the Mason-Dixon line. It's not an opinion.
You know who cares about the Mason-Dixon line? People in Pennsylvania and people in Maryland. Nobody else cares about the Mason-Dixon line. If you can't get good barbecue, if you don't have RC Cola, if you can't get sweet tea, if you don't have a Bojangles, it's not the South. All of the stipulations of the South are food-based. Maryland, it's like they care about crabs more than they do barbecue. Therefore, they're their own thing.
Well,
crabs.
But crabs.
Speaking of barbecue, ahoy!
I was going to say, speaking of crabs, that's really where I thought you were going.
Speaking of crabs, I am back. No, that does not have the connotations that I want it to have. Although with those sorts of crabs, I have an amazing story that I should probably share at a later episode.
What?
I mean, we're all entomologists. We've all had people give us random pubic lice, right?
Yes.
Or we talked about them being endangered in my entomology class, which I thought was super awesome.
Are they though?
We should say that until
my professor said.
Well,
we can't talk about this until we can snag Gwen Pearson.
Okay.
She's the only person that's allowed to talk about this, I think.
Okay, then we'll wait for Gwen Pearson.
Oh yeah. Oh god. That episode is going to be amazing. No, so what I was gonna say, speaking of barbecue, I am actually currently in the process of building a flower pot smoker.
Ooh, that's
so
fun.
I did all the soldering last night, and it no electrical fires yet. I did not electrocute myself. Which, as Nancy knows, is a very real risk when I take on these sorts of projects.
Have you electrocuted yourself before?
No, but I apparently can't keep a Black Widow pet without a 3-day hospital stay.
Ooh.
So yeah.
Joe takes 1d12 poison damage.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, is it poison damage, though?
For a Black Widow?
Is it venom damage?
Oh.
Oh, that's another debate. We're going to have to shelve.
We'll have that one too.
Yes,
yeah.
we will. But no, so I'm building a barbecue, and Don't tell my Twitter followers, by the way. I'm kind of teasing it, but you heard it here first. Yeah. So part of the process of building this thing is I have to drill through the pot to create ventilation, and drilling through masonry takes for fucking ever. Oh my god.
Nice.
So that's the
All right.
entire story.
Nature check.
Okay. So y'all are waking up or coming out of your trance or whatever on what was that? Yawn. So it is the morning of Hiram, the 23rd day of Mist Run. Yes, I did make up days of the week and months. You're welcome. It is, I also have weather. It is another breezy, clear, sort of mild morning. So I guess for context, and again, because we're scientists, Arda sits kind of so that this lower end is toward the equator of this planet. So maybe not at the equator. It's not super tropical here, but we're kind of flirting with the equator. So it is warm-ish here. Even though it's spring. And for funsies, Mist Run is the equivalent of April. For all y'all playing along at home. So yeah, it's a breezy, clear, warm-ish morning in, the equivalent of April.
Sorry. In 3.5, do I have to wake up and pray for my spells?
You don't. I include that as part of your rest time. So if you choose to prepare your spells in the morning, which is a fine time to do it, then basically when you start the day, you have your spells.
All right, cool. First thing, I go over to Lucanus' door and knock on the door.
Okay. Lucanus, you hear a.
Oh, he opens the door. Ahoy there!
Ready for some magic fingers?
Well, it depends on what you and Kay are doing today. So are you guys planning on investigating that fish thing?
I mean, did you think that was worth investigating? I mean, it sounded like bad fish. Did you?
I mean, it could help out. It could help out the guy who runs the bar, and if I'm guessing that he's probably not the only one who has supplier issues, and it could help us get the townspeople on our side.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if you're feeling okay, I mean, I thought your shoulder was all messed up, so.
Lucanus still has an obvious bruise. So let's talk with Kay and figure out what she wants to do.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I was just thinking about your shoulder, man.
I appreciate it. But if you guys want to look into this fish thing, then if you guys run into trouble, some healing spells could potentially be of some use.
I mean, how big are these fish? But I mean, you know way more about fish than I do, so.
I think it's safe to say that Lucanus does not know how big fish normally are, so he just sort of shrugs and it's not the size of the fish, it's the size of the problem they're causing.
Ooh.
Whoa, that
was profound.
Yeah. Well, I guess you're right. We should check in with Kay and Fletcher and maybe Casper. Maybe Casper will show up today.
Again, I feel like this is something that he'd probably information about the sort of local land and local culture. That's something that he's going to want to pay for.
That's a good point. You've got this whole getting paid thing down pat.
Yep. Well, I've got my weapons. I've got my friends. Now it's time for money.
Wait, did you just say we're friends?
Lucanus just sort of looks aside and sort of blushes because
Cedric kind of looks at the floor and kind of kicks at the floor and says, I mean, that's
Lucanus so hard.
that works. That works for me. That arrangement sounds good to me.
Awkward male bonding.
Next episode is Men Express Their Feelings.
And I am going to do it through a very tone-deaf song.
Oh, we're not friends anymore. Yeah, it's over. Yeah, the moment's passed. Yeah.
I love this. Lucanus, we're friends. Okay, I barely even know them.
Not exactly how I would have expected that to pan out, knowing the characters, but
People are complicated. Well, so you feel in the mood for some breakfast? Maybe he has something that's not fish. Maybe.
Sure.
Do you think he has any more of that vegetable?
Did you like the vegetable?
I liked the vegetable. Did you like the vegetable?
Vegetables are a normal part of my diet, but maybe sometime I could take you out and show you how to kill one.
That sounds. I'd like that. I'd like that a lot. That sounds really fun. This is the weirdest episode.
what?
This is the weirdest session we've had so far. This is great.
I love it. I love it so much. If it only took us 3.5 episodes to get to like this kind of quality role playing, like, that's great. We're on the road.
Yeah, great things.
To find vegetables.
All right, Cedric's gonna turn around and walk like awkwardly away down the stairs, like leading the way down the stairs.
I was just like imagining like Cedric being like, "Ooh, these vegetables are good," and like Lucanus just like awkwardly like pushing them around on his plate. Like, fine, I guess.
I'm more imagining Lucanus as like an elven garbage disposal because like given what he does and like the whole rage thing and like his proficiency in killing, he needs like a lot of food and a lot of calories, and he's going to Chowtown at every possible opportunity.
I love that. That is the most academic description of just like of a barbarian I've ever heard.
Yeah,
because he needs a lot of calories to keep up with his killing stuff.
Alrighty. So you guys head down for breakfast, and Leon he's just always behind the bar, man.
Yeah. What do they eat for breakfast in Arda? Like the American diet, we tend to eat like a lot of pork for breakfast, like bacon and sausage, and there's also eggs and.
Well, why don't you ask him?
I think we're about to find out.
Oh,
Good
yes,
morning, Leon.
Oh, good morning. How are you?
I slept very well. How about yourself?
Doing all right. Business is business.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything for us for breakfast that is not fish related?
Absolutely, yes. So I have 2 different things for breakfast. You can either have the Tenebrian full breakfast, so it's baked beans and sausage and et cetera, tomatoes and whatnot. So the full English breakfast, but Tenebrian. And or you can have my personal favorite from my home country. So I could make you Kaiserschmarrn.
What's Kaiserschmarr?
So it's sort of a batter that goes in a pan with rum-soaked raisins and a few other things, and it sort of bakes in the pan, but then gets chopped up into pieces, and there's powdered sugar on top and a sugar syrup. It's quite good, but it's more of a bread breakfast than meat and things breakfast.
Meat and meat breakfast.
Meat and tomatoes and beans and whatever else goes in a full English. There are many things in a full English breakfast.
Both of those sound good. I will have both of them.
Oh, okay.
Rum for breakfast? Absolutely.
Lucanus has the Tenebrian breakfast.
Marvelous. So Kaiserschmarrn is a real thing. It translates to king's scraps, and it's a German Austrian-y thing. It's a pancake, but then you sort of like chop it up into bits in the pan. So it's kind of like making scrambled eggs, but with a pancake. And there's rum-soaked raisins or nuts and powdered sugar and all kinds of other things.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to try that in my real life.
It's so good.
Cedric really likes it.
Yeah. Thanks, high school German teacher. All right.
You thought you were just gonna learn science.
Nope. This is a show about everything.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys are enjoying your breakfast. Kay, you wake up in your house as normal.
I putter downstairs and see if there's anything.
As you're sort of moving around your room, this is not a super uncommon occurrence. You've had this happen before, but there's a bit of parchment stuck to like the wall next to your bed with a bit of, like Tanglefoot bag type goo. In Azzie's handwriting, it just says, "Don't go anywhere."
She goes downstairs and eats breakfast anyway.
Okay.
Anywhere is out of my room. I mean, surely he wouldn't want me to start the day without breakfast. Breakfast is clearly downstairs, so maybe that will give me some time to think about this conundrum. She goes downstairs and eats breakfast. Is there a breakfast out, or does she have to make her own?
Yeah, there's breakfast out. Your mom there's usually some sort of baked good like scones or, biscuits,
Kay,
something
take
like
3
that with
and
some
eats
jam
all of
and
them.
butter. Yeah. All right.
She like slowly eats breakfast in hopes that she gets more of a sign.
Okay.
So.
She's like, well, nothing's happened yet. Like, what am I supposed to do? Just like stay in here all day? Like, I did have plans.
Aren't you a teenage girl? You're just gonna follow some note written on the wall?
She like opens the door and see if there's anyone outside and is like,
This is like the
So my question is, how did this boy get up to her room past her parents? Because knowing me as a teenager...
Wouldn't you like to know?
This is some Clarissa Explains It All kind of stuff. It's like ladder.
Kay goes back up to her room to examine the parchment more to see if it says anything else.
It says, "Don't go anywhere."
I mean, don't go anywhere. Like, I mean, yesterday I left the city walls, so like that's clearly going more somewhere than like around the corner, right? I mean, maybe this could have been more specific. She goes back downstairs and then like opens the door and does the like, again, is there anyone there?
I mean, there's people passing by on the street like normal.
She just like casually steps out of the house and wanders towards the bar.
Okay.
So Lucanus is up in his room doing his various exercises that he does to keep in his fighting barbarian shape, push-ups and burpees and yoga.
All right, Elven CrossFit. Oh no,
Elven
our dwarf
CrossFit.
has become drunk and unfocused. There we go.
I mean, isn't that kind of what Cedric normally does, just drunk and unfocused?
So Cedric is still pounding through this very large breakfast he ordered when Kay comes in the marked bird.
Yeah, he's like 3/4 of the way through it, and he's just kind of like slowly eating the rest of it because he doesn't really have any plans for the day. So we just kind of like, well, I guess this is kind of my morning. He's just kind of eating this, and yeah.
All right, yeah. So Kay.
Hey!
Hi! Wow, that was excited. Hello.
Good morning. Hi.
Good morning.
Yeah, I've just been sitting here drinking tea. Do they have tea?
Sure.
Yeah.
I've had several cups of tea.
Awesome.
Oh god.
Kay,
he's
like, just awkwardly sits across from him, I guess.
caffeinated Cedric.
Have you had this? Bread scramble thing with rum
Yeah,
in
I
it?
have had it. It's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
Great.
it's good.
Yeah,
It's
super
like
good.
pancakes, but with like more meat to them, but without
Yeah. I've never had a pancake before, but yeah. Lucanus is upstairs, and I.
Super long list of things Cedric hasn't had.
Lucanus is upstairs. Fletcher, I guess, is still asleep.
Have we even seen Fletcher?
I haven't seen him since he went upstairs with plants. I guess
Well,
he
maybe
seems
like-
super into those plants, though. So I guess I'm just gonna assume he stayed up super late looking at plants, and then was like decided to sleep in. I don't know. I've been down here since dawn, and nobody's come down. So, I mean, I guess he could have like teleported out the window or something like that. But I haven't seen him. How's it going? How are you?
Good. So I asked my mom about the fish, and she has
about the fish.
and she has noticed like a decline, and she said at first it wasn't like, she had a couple complaints, and then like we got more complaints, and then she said the last batch of fish that she got, she kind of like noticed that they weren't awesome, and so like we're kind of in a conundrum, right? Because like we obviously need to sell fish, but we obviously can't sell bad fish, so that's a thing.
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, and so she gave me the name of the supplier, and she said that she's tried to ask them like about the quality of the fish and where they're getting it from, and they just keep giving her a string of excuses, basically.
That's bad.
So yeah, and so she was. I kind of haphazardly mentioned that Leon was almost murdered over the bad fish, and that you guys like came to his rescue. So thanks.
Yeah, I mean, we were here, so yeah, of course we had to do something.
And so she has like humbly requested that since you seem very intimidating, to maybe like intimidate answers out of them.
I mean, I'm not intimidating, but like I'd be glad to go along, to do whatever I can. But Lucanus is upstairs.
I'm not particularly intimidating either, so.
Well, we should take Lucanus. He's super intimidating, right?
Agreed,
I mean, he's huge.
Should.
Yeah.
Where is he?
He's upstairs. He's doing, I don't know, barbarian stuff.
Oh, okay.
Elf stuff. I don't know.
Barbarian stuff.
He said he was going to go, like, exercise. I don't know. There have been, like, thumps coming from upstairs. I assume he's jumping around.
Should we go get him, I guess, and see if he
Sure.
wants to be intimidating for us?
Yeah.
Are you interested in helping with the fish thing?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to do. Just waiting for Fletcher to show up, or I guess Casper to show back up. I don't know. I don't really have any plans. I don't know. I kind of figured there'd be more direction once I got here. So yeah, I'd be super into the fish.
Do you want just like a big flashing arrow in the sky to tell you what direction to go?
I mean, if you're just gonna, you don't need to make fun of my god or anything. They don't really do that anymore. I don't know if you've noticed, but they're kind of gone. So.
Well, I'm sure your god is giving you gentle nudges.
I'm just teasing. Yeah, no, I didn't expect that. Yeah, I don't know. I've just been feeling a little bit. Whatever. We don't have to talk about it. Let's go get Lucanus.
Okay, let's go get Lucanus. I guess we.
You go get Lucanus. I have to pee.
I don't actually know where he is.
Oh, he's in. Go up. He's in the second door on the right. The first door is Fletcher's room. You can knock on that too. See if he's there. First door, second door. First door, second door. On the right. Mine's on the left, so don't be in that one.
All right.
I'll meet you back down here. I gotta go pee.
All right. Okay, like, was Leon like watching this?
Yes.
She just like looks at Leon and is like, like goes upstairs.
Yeah, he's a hell of a drug.
These fucking foreigners, right?
What was it?
These foreigners, right? These gringos. So she like runs
in New Sechester. We're all foreigners, yes.
right. I suppose that's true. right, so Kay goes upstairs and knocks, I guess, first on Fletcher's door, to I'm assuming no response.
He pokes his head out and says, "What's up?"
Did you want to, like, do anything today?
Are we doing something?
Well, we're investigating, I think, why the fish are bad, and why Leon almost got killed over them. And we need some people who are intimidating.
That's not me. I'll be in here if you need me, though.
All right. Cool. Helpful.
I mean, he's not intimidating.
Can't argue with that. It's canon now, Ryan. Your character is not intimidating.
Fletcher has 4 hit points.
He shoots magic light out of his fingertips. That has to count for something.
He does. I may have taken a little liberty with that, but I have a feeling that Fletcher would not describe himself as intimidating.
Kay, then goes over to Lucanus' room and knocks on the door.
Hi!
Hi!
Everybody's super peppy this morning, Kay.
I know. Kay's like, I'm not supposed to leave my house. I'm, feeling weird about everything. Why is everyone so happy? So... are you interested in figuring out why the large fish in the small pond are bad?
Oh, definitely. Let's go do it.
All right, good. That's convenient because we need someone intimidating. And, you're the intimidating one. I hope you're not offended.
Yep, absolutely. So he gathers his weapons, emphasizing, the great sword and the axe and the crossbow, and puts his hood on, and let's go. And he has his armor on, too, by the way, under the cloak.
Solid.
All right. Well, let's go downstairs and meet Cedric. And, maybe we could fill you in and get a plan.
Of course.
I tried convincing Fletcher he should go. He, stuck his head out and was like, I'm not intimidating. But I'm not sure if we might want him anyway.
I mean, he's studying his plants, and this is sort of a talk to people sort of thing, so...
All right. Sure. All right. Well, let's go find Cedric then. I mean, he had 4 cups of tea and is peeing, so maybe he's done by now.
I mean, how big can a dwarven bladder be?
I don't know. If it's anything like his mouth, it might be huge.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Kay, trudges down the stairs, distinctly as unpeppy as everyone else is peppy.
Again,
Cedric is standing by the front door, waving really, furiously.
Wasn't expecting Kay to be the unpeppy one of the group.
It's been a weird morning, okay? Let's cut her some slack.
True story.
How often do you get a piece of parchment that's been stuck on your wall with bubble gum saying "Don't go anywhere"? Huh?
Well, I mean, you've had notes from Azzie stuck to your wall before, but yeah.
Not telling you to not go anywhere?
Probably not. No.
Well, yeah, there we go. All right.
I've never had a note from Azzie on my wall, so
Just wait.
So Kay slides into one of the tables and assumes that Lucanus and Cedric are also going to sit down so they can form a plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
But who knows? They're so peppy that they might just continue standing there.
Cedric walks over and is like, "Oh, yeah, I just thought we were going to go."
You don't even know where we're going. I don't know where I'm going. That's the whole point. That's why we're sitting here.
Wait, you don't know where we're going?
Yeah, see, that's what's the complicated thing. My mom, she got the fish from, Fiddlesticks and whatever their names were. Fiddlesticks and Fishchips.
Strong line, twist hook.
Sorry, what were their names?
I don't know.
I wrote it down, but Cedric doesn't know.
I don't remember what their names were. I didn't write them down because they were too ridiculous.
All right. Give me a straight intelligence check then.
Oh, damn it.
Hey, the first roll of the night.
Lucanus forget someone's name and we just fill it in.
Yeah, you're a teenager. This is so typical.
All right.
We're supposed to make notes?
A 9 plus 3, 11.
Okay, yeah, you remember she said strong line and twist hook fiddler.
Strong line and twist hook fiddler.
Fliddler.
Fliddler?
Yes.
Maybe this is why I couldn't remember it.
Welcome to D&D, where all of the names are confusing, and the more the PCs make fun of the NPCs' names, the angrier the DM gets. See Matt Mercer for reference.
Yes. Mm-hmm. You get 3 more jokes before she does a TPK, and we have to roll up new characters.
All right. Anyway, them. But the problem is my mom doesn't actually know where they are because apparently they just like show up at the doorstep and are like, buy this random fish. And then she does. So we need to maybe ask around to see where they might be. Although I'm guessing because they're fishermen, the docks might be the best place to start.
That makes sense. Leon.
Yes.
Have you seen Artemis? Did she get back last night?
She was in here for a little while, but I haven't seen her since.
Like a little while, like after we saw her, because we passed her on the way in when we came in last night.
Oh yes, she left just before you got here. Yes, I have not seen her since then. No, but she did not stay here. The night after I met all of you, she did not stay here.
Oh. Should we be worried about her? Lucanus and I saw her like following this gentleman. Sorry, I got distracted. We're talking about fish, but I feel like we should be also worried about Artemis. I mean, I don't know. We're kind of friends with her.
Didn't she like? I don't know. She's weird. I'm sure she's fine.
She seems like she can take care of herself.
That is true.
All right.
So we don't really know where to go with these fish, but the docks.
Yeah, maybe we should start there. Although, maybe, well, I guess... Leon, have you heard of these people?
Have I heard of who people?
I forgot their names again already.
I believe you said their names were Strongline
and Twist Hook. Fliddlesticks. Fliddler.
Like I said, Fishchips and Fiddlesticks. That's exactly what I said. Hey, them.
Those are complicated names.
Agreed.
Those are not ones I've heard before, but there are a lot of people here.
All right. Well, figured it'd be a shot. All right, to the docks. Let's go.
I mean, do you guys want me to come? Because I'm kind of, my cover is kind of blown for the moment.
That's a really good point.
Yes, it's not what we talked about the other day.
Yeah, you should stay here. We will come back if we need somebody intimidating.
Yeah, enjoy a second breakfast and maybe don't go outside. That advice seems eerily odd, but that's okay.
I mean,
could you disguise yourself somehow? You have a cloak on. Can you
what, cut his legs off at the shins and cut his ears off?
I mean, he's freakishly tall, but all of you people are freakishly tall, right? So he'll probably blend in a little bit.
I'm also kind of elven, so
don't you have a hood or a hat?
I'm already wearing a robe. And all you guys see is a robe with a sort of dark face.
You got a hood on.
I'm gonna stand out no matter what.
All right, Cedric. Let's just leave him here, and hopefully nothing bad happens while we're gone.
Stay here, rest up, don't get any fights. We'll come get you if we need you.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Splitting the party.
And then there were two.
While Kay and Cedric are gone, a tribe of goblins overruns the bar and Lucanus has to fight them off single-handedly.
I could probably do it.
You probably could.
Leon's there. He's got a broken glass or something like that. He can help.
Okay. So, Kay and Cedric, where are you going?
The docks, I suppose, to ask random people at the docks.
Okay. So, you make your way to the docks, and I need each of you to give me a gather information check.
3.5 rules.
Is that actually gather information? Oh, it is. Would you look at that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I got a 16.
I got a 10.
Okay. So Cedric is very overwhelmed by all of the freakishly tall people and is having a hard time catching people's attention so that he can talk to them. Because again, it's another busy morning on the docks. But Kay, you are able to, after a bunch of questions of, a bunch of random people on the dock, some some you don't, you manage to figure out that Strongline and Twist Hook spend a lot of time at the Lux Rum Tavern, which
competitors.
I mean, there's definitely more than one tavern in a city. So yeah, they spend a lot of time at the Lux Rum Tavern, which is in the slums area.
Okay, perfect. I need to get a pen. Hold on.
Okay.
Sorry, I do have a screwdriver though.
You just carve it into your floor.
Oh.
That's rum like the drink?
Yeah,
or rum like
Lux Rum. So it's a pun.
The Lux Rum.
Light rum.
And that's number 1 on your your map.
Okay, so I actually know of it. That's convenient.
I mean, with your gather information check, you found out enough to know where it is and what it is.
I feel like there are multiple opportunities for mishearing you. Is this Lux or Luck'?
Luck is in the thing you hope you have when you roll your dice.
Mm-hmm.
So Luck''s space RUM.
RUM like the drink. Okay.
Lux Rum.
See, I thought it was a play on light rum.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was Lux, Lux, and also luxury.
Right.
Sorry, we won't make fun of your bars in addition to
That's
your
okay.
character.
I mean, the last time, or maybe 2 times ago, you said you liked all of the punny names of the businesses. So yeah.
Well, we've already established that we're staying in the Twitter bar. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Twitter bar. Okay.
So Kay finds Cedric. Hey, did you find out anything?
Huh?
No. Nope. No luck. I've just been kind of following you. Was I supposed to be asking questions? I thought I was just kind of. I figured I was just kind of watching your back here.
Awesome. So glad that you're useful. How can you watch my back? My back is taller than your eyesight.
I can look up.
That far?
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so apparently Strongline and Tagline are at Lux Rum, which is a little bar up on the corner. So maybe we should go there, but it's kind of in the sketch part of town. So I'm not sure if we might want something intimidating for the sketch part of town, or maybe we should just go ourselves. What do you think?
I think we're fine.
Oh, okay.
How bad is it? How bad can it be?
Well, I guess that's the part I don't know. I don't know how bad it could be to make a good judgment call. But what's the worst that could happen? Right?
That's a good question. Well, I'm sure whatever happens, it will be an experience worth living.
Unless we die, but sure, okay.
Is it that bad?
I don't know. It's by the sketch part of town. It's where all the ruffians are and dangerous people that I'm not supposed to go see.
You're the local here. I just got here 2 days ago.
Yeah, and the local doesn't go there. What does that tell you?
I guess we shouldn't go there.
So should we go get Lucanus and go there, or should we, or do we want to we know what we're going into now and are just going to make that bad decision?
Let's just
go. Well, you still
go.
got blood on your shirt, so we look like we fit right in.
Is it? I tried really hard to get it out, but it just kind of turned a more brownish color.
Just tell everyone it's a wine stain. They'll believe you.
I don't want people to think that I'm a drunkard.
You're a dwarf.
I thought you were going to say I didn't want people to think that I drank wine because I'm a dwarf and drink beer, but whatever.
I mean, it's either a giant blood stain or a giant wine stain.
It's not respectable for a dwarf, to walk around in stained clothing. It makes one look unpresentable.
Perfect. We're trying to look unpresentable to go to the sketch part of town.
Disguise. That's very clever.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
All right. We're going to go.
Okay.
I'm going to also, mess up my, perfectly combed beard.
Maybe...
Ugh.
Maybe
Now,
I'll just hang on with you, and I could be your winch or something. Or ass.
Ooh, a clever ruse. I like it.
All right.
Okay, so you've got a messed up beard and you're something.
Combed beard.
Whoa.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Is that Joe's fault?
So you've got your beard is a bit mussed, and you've got this stained and ragged shirt. And Kay, you're still wearing a blouse and your palazzo pants.
Yep.
Or gaucho
We
pants.
look like narcs.
Yeah. I have to be presentable. I'm his lady friend.
Okay.
They're friends?
Are you are you trying to disguise yourselves, or are you trying to seem like people you're not, or are you just sort of going?
I feel like we're trying, but not trying.
C- trying.
Yeah, we don't know what we're doing. Trying.
We don't know what we're doing, and we're maybe if we mess up his beard a little bit,
Okay, so you're not putting in so much effort that I need to make you make a bluff check, is what you're telling me.
No.
Nah, just assume that we failed our bluff check.
Okay. All right. Cool.
We didn't study for that test, so we definitely failed.
Yeah. So from the docks, you guys head over into the slumish area, and following the bit of directions that you were able to sort of glean from your conversations, Kay, you realize that you're heading sort of next door-ish to the place where you guys were before, where Carissa was and is no longer. And you
Good thing we didn't bring the tall, intimidating guy.
the suspense on your face is so rewarding. So you would almost walk past this building without noticing it, except that it does take up the space between the buildings on either side. The exterior is of dark wood that, even though this settlement city is not yet 20 years old, still somehow manages to look aged, weather-beaten, and as if it's been standing there since the beginning of time. It is several floors high, yet looks squat against the rest of the street. The windows are all opaque parchment that's just enough to allow some sunlight in or a glimpse of firelight out. The narrow alleyways between this and the adjacent buildings smell rather strongly of stale alcohol, urine, vomit, and all the various vices of civilization. A cracked...
He just looks at Cedric as
So I was trying to look cool,
I have known people who smelled like this.
A cracked wooden sign painted simply in black denotes this to be the Lux Rum Tavern.
Looks like there's Lux run out.
Good one.
Nice.
Let's go inside.
Yeah, Kay runs behind Cedric and indicates that maybe he should be the one to open the door.
Cedric takes her cue and kicks the door open.
Kay immediately regrets her decision.
Trying to be all tough.
As
Steps inside.
As you kick open and then step through the door of the Lux Rum, your senses are assaulted. Your lungs clench at the cloud of smoke emanating from cigars, pipes, and what might be called the kitchen. And your nostrils flare at the scent of stale liquor, 5 different kinds of tobacco, and what might be called the kitchen. You squint your eyes to help them adjust to the dank atmosphere and dim light of the interior. To your right, there is a haphazardly built brick fireplace against the wall, also contributing smoke to the haze. Several wooden tables of questionable stability occupy the main floor. This place is definitely not fancy enough for booths. A random assortment of mismatched chairs and stools stand around the tables. As you take a step, you feel a slight resistance as your foot peels away from the sticky floorboards, presumably soaked with alcohol. At the back of the room, a very hairy man stands behind the bar, lazily wiping a glass with a stained cloth. A door swinging on one hinge behind the bartender presumably leads to what might be called the kitchen. A large board hangs on the wall to the left of the bar, and small scraps of parchment seem to be affixed to it with all manner of nails, pins, and even a small dagger.
Kay, nudges Cedric and just looks at him and is like,
oh, you're looking up. You have to look down.
well, yeah, looking down at him like,
What are you indicating towards? Since I can't see directions.
him about the guys.
Yeah. Cedric walks up to the bar and puts his elbows up on the bar.
Okay. So as you cross the room and put your elbows up on the bar, and you realize the very hairy man that you saw wiping a glass is actually he's a cat. It's a cat.
With
so,
ears? With ears?
Yes, with ears.
And a tail?
Yes. So you see a cat, but on 2 legs, so he's standing like a person, a dwarf, a man. His fur is patterned with dark gray stripes on a light gray field, but it looks kind of greasy and dirty. It's not, fluffy like, a normal healthy cat's fur. His right eye is yellow-brown, and it's now looking at you, while his left is covered with a patch, and there's a scar running from above his left eyebrow to the middle of his left cheek. He wears several piercings in both of his cat-like ears, and his left upper canine tooth appears to have been broken off at some point, because it's not as long or as sharp as his other canine. So he sort of looks down at you with his one good eye and says, "Morning, can I help you?"
Yeah. Can I get a glass of your finest?
What would you like? We've got ale, we've got wine, and we've got 2 house specialty drinks.
What are the specialty drinks?
Well, you're a dwarf, ain't you? So, we've got hammer beer.
Yeah, I'll take one of those and a glass of wine for the missus.
Okay. All right. Well, hammer beer is 7 copper, and the wine is 2 silver.
Okay. I fish around in my bag, which is one of those in the shirt bags.
And as you do that, he kind of raises his eyebrow. His good eyebrow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I pull out 3 silver pieces and put them on the bar. And I say, I'm looking for a friend of mine. Last name of Fliddler. He's a fisherman around here. You know him?
I might.
I'm just trying to meet up with him. I haven't seen him in a while. Do you know where he is about this time of day?
I might. And he sort of puts one big clawed cat hand on the bar and slides the 3 silver across and pockets them.
Here. And pulls out another silver piece and puts it on the bar.
Kay is dying on the inside.
Not. It goes and gets 2 more silver pieces and puts them on the bar.
How much would that information cost?
Yeah. How much would that information cost?
Well, how many fliddlers are you looking for?
Just the one.
Well, if you're looking for one, they normally come in pairs, and I think, the gold to help you find them might also come in pairs.
Oh, okay. He's gonna take the 2 silver pieces back off of the bar. Put change in. No. Hold on. Okay, here. Puts them both on the bar. There you go. No problem at all. Here you go.
Pleasure doing business with you. And in the meantime, he has put the 2 drinks up on the bar. So there's a glass of wine and also a tankard of what you presume to be the hammer beer.
I grab the glass of wine and I push it over to Kay and I go, here you go, honey.
Thanks, sweetie.
And then I take the hammer beer.
Kay sniffs it.
So about those fliddlers.
They're at the end of the bar.
I slowly turn and look at the end of the bar.
You look at the end of the bar, and there's a pair of gnomes sitting there eating what looks like gruel out of bowls with some drinks in front of them. Their legs just swinging from the bar stools.
So fellow short
do they
people.
Look like they've noticed this
a lot
energy?
in common with them, apparently.
Wait, what was the question?
Do they look like they've noticed this?
Well, no, this conversation is happening pretty far down the bar from them. But...
Okay, all right, so they're completely.
And there are other people in here too, but yeah.
I tap the side of my nose knowingly and give the bartender kind of a point, all right, cool.
Pleasure doing business with you. And if you need any more assistance, reading the bounty board, I can read it for you if you need any help.
No, it's okay. I can read. Thanks. I'm gonna take my drink and I'm gonna turn around and point very not surreptitiously at them and kind of give Kay the eyes.
The bounty board.
I'm sitting right here. I heard the same thing.
Fine. All right. Well, I just wanted to make sure.
Okay. So you asked them to do business, right? Say you want to buy some fish or something, and then ask them where they get it from.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. That sounds good. Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
All right. Look down at the end of the bar, and I say, "Howdy, gentlemen."
And they sort of look up from their bowls and, oh, hello.
Hi, my name is Cedric, and I'm looking to buy some fish, and I heard you guys are the guys to talk to about some fish.
Yeah, we sell fish.
That's great. I want to buy some fish. Lots of fish.
All right, how many would you like? And when do you need them?
Soon, and a lot. Does it come in, what? I'm not from around here. Does fish come in barrels around here? Where I'm from, they don't come in barrels, but I just thought maybe they would come in barrels around here. Does that sound right?
Kay is literally hoping that she can melt into the floor.
Boy, you are so lucky. I just rolled a 1. They
can't believe it's that stupid either.
No, That was a sense motive for them. So yeah, we sell it in barrels. What would you like? Oh my god.
What do you charge for a barrel?
Well, it depends on what kind of fish you want, but several gold pieces.
All right. Which kind of fishes do you have?
Oh shoot. Crap. Here's where Sheryl has to think of fish names really.
I'm going to write these down. I want to know everything. I want to know for the lesser black sailfish. I want to know its reproductive habits, its season.
We already know that one of the fish is carp.
Yeah, right. There's
which is quite good if smoked.
We've got salmon, we've got flounder, and some other fishes.
We, we particularly like the fish that we were served once in the well, at least I was served once in the marked bird. Do you know what kind of fish that was?
This here's my wife. She does a lot of the business of our business arrangement, buying fish. So yeah, the marked bird. She was talking about the fish that she had recently in the marked bird. What kind of fish is that? They buy it from what was the name of the company? Those people.
The general store.
The general store, yes.
Oh, you mean the Prowls?
Yeah.
Yeah, we sell to them. We've sold all kinds of fish to them, though. I don't know what you mean.
What's in season right now?
What's the season?
Right now, it's this run.
We catch fish, and then we sell them.
Aren't there some fish that are around in season and other fish that are around in other seasons?
I mean, we just sell what we catch.
Where do you guys do the fishing?
Oh, we fish in the Coquerel River.
Oh, so it's all freshwater fish.
Oh.
Okay, who suddenly knows something about fresh and salt?
That's why they don't taste like salt.
Sure. Kay, you do know that the Coquerel River is the big river that its mouth empties just north of where New Sechester is. So New Sechester is on that sort of like spit of land, and then there's this like river mouth, and there's the little bay like in New Sechester, but yeah.
All right. Good. How's the fishing been recently?
Make a diplomacy check.
That's 13.
When they sort of look at each other and look back at you, and to be honest, it hasn't been as good as it used to be. We haven't been catching nearly as many fish as normal, and the ones we have been catching, Lady Prowl's been complaining about them, and other people too. I mean, we sell them anyway, because, a man's gotta eat, right?
Yeah, I eat all the time.
He's literally from under a rock.
Literally.
So are you selling everything to the what did you say their name was? Prowls? Right now?
I mean, mostly to them, but we sell to other people too. We sell to some of the ships for them to stock up before they go out to sea, and we sell to some of the noble houses here in town. We just sell to whoever's buying.
Well, if I wanted to buy some of your fish, do you have any fish with you now?
Not here in the bar.
Well, wait, if I wanted to buy some of your fish, where should I meet you?
Well, I mean, you could buy them from the Prowls, or if you wanted to buy them from us, you could meet us back here, I guess. We haven't gone out for the day yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's better to buy it from you guys directly, because then the price should be lower than buying it from the general store, don't you think?
Probably.
Yeah.
See, this is why I keep her around. She's got a head for business. That's what I always say. Isn't that right, honey?
Uh-huh. Without me, you'd definitely be a poor man, so here we are.
Yep.
Hey, Cedric, are you guys drinking your drinks, or are you just holding them?
I
took a sip. Did I die?
No. I wanted to gauge how suspicious you looked that you were doing a lot of talking and not drinking.
Oh. Okay, I guess as Cedric realizes that he hasn't had any of his drink, he's going to drink a lot of it.
Okay, you're going to drink a lot of it. That's good,
all at
because
once.
hammer beer, you're going to down the whole thing?
No, like half of it.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Yeah.
Does anything happen to me?
No, I was just curious, like I said.
Okay. All right. Yeah. They're just, but real awkwardly.
And takes another sip.
Mm-hmm. It's not very good wine at all.
I can't imagine Kay has had a lot of wine.
Yeah, aren't you underage?
What's age?
There's no rules.
Middle
in this
ages.
town.
It feels like it might have been cut with salt water.
Gross.
Yeah.
It's like a goza. All right. Well, it's been great talking with you guys. I guess we'll see you again and then later, maybe. Cedric gives Kay is that?
Fletcher doing business with you.
Oh, yeah. It's been a pleasure.
Sure.
Bye now.
Bye.
Kay just puts the rest of her wine on the bar and just kind of scuttles out.
Cedric slams the rest of his hammer beer.
Awesome. You take 5 points of non-lethal damage.
Yes. He coughs. It's good stuff. Puts the glass up the bar.
The barman's still just raising his eyebrow at you. Mark down those 5 points of non-lethal damage.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Sheryl.
This tastes bad. Puts it back.
It's great. Just like Mom used to make.
Too bad you didn't ask about the other specialty drink they've got. Anyway.
Your mom used to serve you beer in childhood?
I know that was worse.
Ah, true.
That's all right. You'll save the other drink for another time. What are you doing now?
Leaving.
Yeah. We should go back and... Yeah, so I guess... Okay, so... I think we should probably go to the river and scope out the situation. What's going on? Are there just no fish there? What kind of fish are they? If they're just saying they're catching whatever and there's not a lot of whatever, chances are we're going to find whatever gross fish they're fishing out of the river.
How do you see what kind of fish there are? Aren't they under the water?
Yeah, that's why you catch them.
With an electro zapper, of course. What?
What?
I love those so much.
Dynamite.
No, with a fish zapper. The tac thing.
Cedric doesn't have anything that can deal electro zapper damage. We're gonna need a wizard for that. But okay, so we catch them. Do you know how to catch fish?
I mean, theoretically, you get a stick and you tie a string to it, and you get a hook, and then you put a worm or something similar on the hook, and you put it in the water and wiggle it around for something to chomp on it. That's the extent I know about fishing.
You get a strong line and a twist hook.
And a tagline.
This seems pretty easy. I bet I could do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, how hard could it be, right? I mean,
Right.
they do it, and they don't seem particularly talented at anything, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't seem particularly...
Well, especially not sense motive checks.
Well, you know, everybody has an off day.
They just, like, didn't care. They're just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, do we need a boat to get to this spot?
No, I know where the mouth of the river ends up, like, opens up, so I don't know how far up they go. But I was thinking maybe we could just, like, walk along the bank.
Okay. Well, let's go get Lucanus and see if Fletcher wants to come. It seems like, and well, he's into seaweed. Maybe he wants to check out the fish.
Yeah, maybe he can, like, master blast them with his, like, magic fingers of his. Maybe that would be better than the hook thing.
That might work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he has some kind of, like, fish catching spell.
Yeah, that's how wizarding works, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like, I hate all of you.
I mean, you can do whatever you want. It's a world of magic advantages.
Neither of our characters know how magic works.
Wait, one of you is a caster now.
I do divine stuff. It is not the same as wizardy magic.
How is figuring out fish not a religious thing?
That's a good point. And, yep. Point Sheryl. Take 1 psychic damage.
Cedric is taking all the damage today.
An extra 5 points of non-lethal damage, just straight up burn.
Yeah, the 5 points of non-lethal damage. That's why it's called hammer beer, because it's like you got hit in the face with a hammer.
Now I know that.
All right, so I guess we'll just go back and grab whoever seems to be particularly interested in fishing.
Yeah, but it seems like a good. Maybe Lucanus would like to have.
Yeah, Lucanus is weird. I'm sure he loves fishing.
Yeah, I bet he's good at it because he's tall. He can see into the water where the fish are.
Yeah, he could probably like javelin them to death too.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. I guess I have a crossbow. Maybe if I could maybe shoot one. I don't know if that's actually
crossbow fishing.
Well, we'll see. All right. Well, let's go. Yeah. Let's go get the troops.
Yeah, that seems. I mean, I'm sure he's been cooped up inside all day. This would be a good excuse to get him out.
Yeah, and he'll be out of town, which will be really good for him.
Yes.
We just have to somehow get him out of town without anyone noticing. Well, we'll figure it out.
Can we put a blanket over him or something? You think?
He has a robe on. Isn't that basically a blanket?
It is basically a blanket. Can we tell people he has leprosy?
Yes.
I think it's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. Let's go.
We go back to the tavern.
So I knocked on his door last time. I vote you.
All right, I knock on his door.
Lucanus opens it.
Knock on our door.
Lucanus opens it. Hey, buddy, what's up?
What is with you guys?
I don't know.
Hey, we're gonna go fishing. Do you want to come?
Are we gonna do some crossfish? And he holds up his crossbow.
I don't know. I don't actually know how to fish. So if that's how you fish, then sure.
Do you know how to fish?
I know how to shoot things.
That sounds like fishing. Let's go.
All right. I'm gonna knock on Fletcher's door too.
He sticks his head out. Hello? What's up?
We're gonna go fishing. Do you want to come?
You're going fishing?
Yeah.
Aren't you interested in fish? I mean, you're pretty interested in plants, and fish are like plants, except they move more. So
I'm interested in everything here on this continent. Sure.
Yeah, let's go fishing.
All right. Fishing. We're on a fishing.
I thought Lucanus was just going to shoot them, but now that you mention it, I think some people use a net to catch fish or a hook.
Okay. Do we have those?
No, but we have a crossbow.
Maybe Leon has them.
Oh, yeah.
I go downstairs.
You go downstairs.
Is Leon downstairs?
Of course, he's always behind the bar.
Leon! We want to go fishing. Do you have a fishing net or a hook?
No, I don't.
Do you know where we might be able to acquire a net and or a hook?
Well, the White Sail next door has all kinds of ship supplies and things. You might be able to go in and ask if they have that sort of thing.
Onward. Thank you, Leon.
We just march out of the door. Bye.
Bye. See you later. We'll be back later.
If Azzie comes by looking for me, tell him I'll be right back real soon.
Okay.
Thanks.
Where are you going?
Fishing.
We're going fishing.
Off the docks?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Make a bluff check.
I don't think I have bluff. Oh, I have exactly nothing in bluffing. Awesome. I got a 20! A natural 20!
I like that you checked before you looked at your dice.
Okay, so a natural 20 is not, however, an automatic win on a skill check. Congratulations on the natural 20. But so your total score is a 20.
Yeah.
Okay, that beats. Okay, so he just says, "Okay, have a good time. If I see Azzie, I'll tell him that you're at the docks."
Thanks.
As we walk outside, Cedric turns to Kay and says, "Why didn't you tell Leon where we were going?"
I woke up to a mysterious note at my door saying I shouldn't go anywhere today, and if you hadn't noticed, I've been kind of going places today, so I definitely don't need him to know that I'm not going to be in town, let alone not in my house.
Lucanus.
Life is complicated and weird, so why don't we just go get some fish, and then I can get home as quickly as possible, and hopefully no one will notice I was gone.
Okay, well, I don't want you to get in trouble or anything like that.
So, like I said, let's go get a net.
Okay.
Lucanus follows them. Lucanus follows them to the White Sail.
Oh, sorry, it's the white canvas. I totally
White canvas. Sorry.
Yes, I'm sorry. Okay. So you go literally next door to the white canvas, and are you going inside?
Yes.
Okay. Alrighty. So you go inside the shop, and it's full of all kinds of stuff. There's lots of rolls of canvas, obviously, but there's, oars and boards and just all kinds of ship-type things. And you see, sort of standing in the store, a kind of person that, Lucanus, you are taken aback by this sight. Cedric, you have not seen a person like this before, but Lucanus, it immediately is a bit concerning to you because you see before you this large, at least taller than you, sort of burly man with dull greenish skin and very short cropped white hair. And he's got tattoos in black ink all along his arms, and he's got tusks. So you recognize this person is some sort of orc. But Cedric, you have not seen a person like this before. But Kay, you know this to be Tabrim. Yeah. Who owns the shop next to Leon's.
Yep. Hi, friend. How are you?
Lucanus unconsciously adjusts his sword and makes sure it's within easy reach.
Hello, Kay. How can I help you?
So, do you have, like, a net to catch fish?
Fishing nets? Yeah, I have fishing supplies, all kinds of things. Are you going to do some fishing?
Yes. It's kind of complicated.
We're going fishing off the docks.
Hello.
Helpful.
Are you?
Yes.
No. Sounds like a good way to spend a day.
We're actually going fishing in a river. The only reason I want to bring this up is because I'm not sure if the net will actually matter.
Wait.
Between the river.
Docks, river. You might want to make sure everyone, your friends, know your plans. But yes, I have fishing nets and all sorts of things.
Do they differ between like ocean fishing nets and like river fishing nets?
Not especially. But if
Perfect.
you're going in the river, I can certainly make sure you have something that's not too big.
Yeah, I think that's what I was going for, like something like not super large, because we also won't have a boat.
Of course.
We're like hoping that we can just like kind of toss it into the water and see what swims in.
Of course, yeah.
Also, I have short arms so I need something small.
And yeah, this guy is incredibly big, and he sort of looks down at you, and he's, well, I mean, your arms are short compared to mine, but they're still good arms, are they not?
I like them.
He might even argue that they're the best arms.
I think they're pretty good sized.
Mm-hmm.
Cedric just gives him a front row seat to the gun show.
So how much would like a mediocre, smallish net for the afternoon cost? Can we rent it, or do we have to buy it?
Well, normally I would sell things to people, but I like you, Kay.
Aw, thanks, friend.
So if you promise to bring it back and it's still in good condition, I can rent it to you for 10 gold.
She looks at the other two. Is it like a deposit? So could we like give you 10 gold and we bring it back in good condition? Like, you know, it'll really just be 5 gold to use it for the afternoon.
Make a diplomacy check.
Yeah.
What do I have in diplomacy? Oh, well, that 20 will be super nice again. 16 plus 8.
Plus 8?
Wow. What's your charisma?
I don't know. Charisma, 14.
Oh, nice, yeah.
So I got a 16 plus 8, whatever that is, which is something over 20.
24.
Yeah. Scientists who can do math.
Please.
Yeah. That'll be all right. Yes. So
we're trying to figure out why the fish is bad in town.
You know, I did hear something about that.
Right.
You're trying to figure out what's wrong?
Yeah, because it's my parents who are selling the fish, and they're getting it from like kind of sketch people, and so like it's bad for business, you know. So like, I'm just trying to help out my family, you know.
Well, it's very kind and responsible of you. Yes, I if you give me 10 gold now, as long as the net comes back in good repair, yeah, I'll give you 5 gold deposit back. That's fine.
All right, thanks.
Okay, if you're going out beyond the city, be careful.
Will do. Promise.
Okay.
Pinky promise.
Okay. Well, you say pinky promise, and then you remember that he's missing one of his pinkies.
Mm-hmm.
Handshake.
We'll watch after her, good sir.
I'm sure you will, friend.
I'm Cedric, by the way.
Oh, nice to meet you. I'm Tabrim Nagal.
Tabrim, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. And your name, friend? Wait, did you just say it? Sorry, I'm juggling things.
Oh, yeah. Oh, me? Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
It's nice.
I thought you were asking the case.
No, sorry. It's nice to meet you, Cedric. And Kay, who's your other friend?
His
You don't need to know who I am.
His name's Lucanus.
You don't need to know who I am.
All right.
He's kind of weird. They're both kind of weird. Gringos, you know what I mean? Well, Kay like has little like pouch like pockets in her awesome pants. Yeah.
Of course.
They have pockets.
Yeah, this is a fantasy world. Pants have pockets.
Oh, it's really sad.
That's just too unrealistic.
Yeah.
Right?
It's really sad that we have to play D&D just so women can get pockets in their field pants.
And she hands him 10 gold.
Thank you very much. Is there anything else you'd like?
Do I need anything else?
It really depends on what kind of fishing you're doing.
We're just trying to see what's there.
Okay.
Basically, it's kind of like surveying.
How do you use the nets?
Well, it depends on what you're doing. I suppose if you're trying to just, as you say, survey the river, then maybe the easiest thing to do would be my favorite thing to teach was stream study when I was younger. Well, the easiest thing to do would be to sort of stretch the net across the river, although the coquerel is very wide here. I don't know if it gets narrower. This net is not very wide, but you would want to stretch the net at least along a portion of the river and then sort of walk towards the net and sort of scare all of the fish and things before you so that they would get caught in it, if you're looking to do some sort of survey of what's there.
Yeah. Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right. Thanks, friend. We'll bring you this net back in excellent condition.
I trust you, but just be careful.
Yeah, I promise.
It's a big river. It's very deep, and I don't even know if there's a good place where you'd be able to walk. It's very deep and very wide, and well, I mean, I trust you to know what you're doing, but just be careful outside of the city walls.
Okay, thank you. I will. We leave. I leave at least.
Lucanus follows Kay out.
Okay.
All right. So we have half a plan. It's not the best plan in the world, but it's not the worst one, and we've been flying by the seat of our pants so far, so I say we just keep trying our luck.
Okay.
I'm all for it.
Sure. We've got this net now. We can probably just throw it out there, pull it in, and see what we catch, right?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, we'd have to keep all the things we catch, right? Because we don't actually know what the fish are, and then we'd have to bring it to someone who might know what the fish are.
Does Fletcher know what they are? Fletcher?
Probably not.
I don't know what anything is here. That's kind of the point of me being here. I'm trying to figure out what these things are and then write up descriptions of them and publish them so that other people can know what they are.
Perfect. You get to write some awesome descriptions of weird fish that we catch, and then we get to see if someone in town knows what they are. Cool.
All right.
We might need a sack, I guess, because like, what if we catch the fish? Then what do we go? Like, how are we going to bring them back? So maybe like, does anyone have a Lucanus, you have a bag that like fit a javelin or something in it? Like, can we use that for some fish?
How long are we planning on being out of town? Because I got to bring like a tent and stuff.
How far of a walk is it to the river?
I didn't think it was that far.
Make a knowledge local check. Okay.
Oh boy. Do I have any knowledge?
I got a 19, if that helps.
Well, you're not.
You don't have any local knowledge.
I know I don't have any local knowledge, but I rolled for the hell of it and got a 19, so...
Well, I got a 12.
You got a 12. Yeah, so the Coquerel River, like I said, it's the outlet, the mouth of it is north of New Sechester, and so you know that. But as far as like how far away it is, or like how long it would take you to get there walking, you're not entirely sure. You know that it's not like right against the city walls or anything.
I don't know, actually. I guess I hadn't really thought of it. It's north.
Cedric, do you have a backpack?
I do. I have a backpack.
Can you spare some space in it? Because I'll carry whatever we need to carry, but I just don't want my tent smelling like fish. And I feel like I have to bring the tent in case we get like stranded overnight or something.
Are we like super far away from the white canvas?
I mean, I assumed that you sort of made it out into the street and then stopped because you didn't know where to go.
Why don't we just carry the fish in the net?
I guess we could do that. Hold on. As Kay like sticks her head back in, she's like, like how far away is this river?
It's the better part of a day's walk. Are you just walking?
I think that was the plan.
Should we get a boat?
It really depends on if you know how to handle a boat.
Do you know anyone who might know how to handle a boat, who might give us a ride that would take less than a day?
Darling, this place is full of sailors. I'd take you myself if I didn't want to mind the shop, but, I mean, I suppose you could find someone, but any ship that would take you there would be leaving from here and have to go around the point and up into the river, so, you know, you might actually be faster walking because a ship would have to get underway and, you know, they're kind of big. The ships don't really go into the mouth of the river too much. It's why nobody really knows much about Arda yet, I guess, beyond here.
That's good to know. All right, well, I guess we'll walk then. Thanks.
Gesundheit.
Yeah, sorry. I'm allergic to orcs.
How appropriate.
All right. Well, thanks, friend.
Of course.
If it's going to be the better part of a day, then we're definitely going to spend the night out there. So we're definitely going to need to camp and having a tent that doesn't smell like.
We could spend the night here and then go really early in the morning. So we only have to camp one night in the scary woods instead of maybe 2 nights in the scary woods.
That makes sense to me. Then
I'm also not supposed to leave today, remember?
Oh, right. Okay. Yep, sounds good to me.
All right, perfect. And yeah, we can like get organized and like maybe come up with a better plan.
And we can give Lucanus' shoulder a little bit more time to heal up.
Heal up, yeah, that's good. That's good. Didn't you heal him yet?
No, he told me to wait.
I wasn't sure if we were planning on, you know, leaving town today, and given our last misadventure, I thought that it might be smart to wait to see what kind of trouble you two get into, just in case it was needed.
We're not in any trouble. So Cedric can heal you. I can go back home where I belong, and tomorrow we can adventure.
Sounds like a plan.
Lucanus does the finger point thing. Sounds good.
All right, so I guess I'll be tomorrow at the Marked Bird, like, what, 5 in the morning? What time's sunrise? What time's sunrise?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's sunrise. Guys don't have, like, you know, I mean, yeah, 5-ish, 6-ish.
Lucanus checks his sundial.
There happens to be a sundial conveniently on the docks.
At this point, it's like a little after midday, so.
All right, yeah. So why don't we like reconnoiter tomorrow morning, and I can be home for the rest of today where I belong, and we can go tomorrow morning.
All right.
I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning.
See you tomorrow, Kay.
All right. Bye. She, like, runs back to her house.
Okay.
Oh, wait. I can't seem suspicious. Here, Cedric, take the net.
Okay.
He's got this, like, huge...
Kay, like, runs back.
Lucanus takes the net from Cedric. I'm probably better situated to carry this up the stairs, because this thing is like the size of Cedric. He's basically like hugging another dwarf to his chest trying to carry it.
Pretty much.
And it's really more of a waddle than a walk.
Kay Kay literally like runs back home.
Okay. So are Cedric, Lucanus, and Fletcher going back to the Marked Bird?
Yeah, I think that's the plan, because I can't really, I have to sort of keep a low profile for a while.
Mm-hmm. Cedric, did you guys want to do anything with the rest of your afternoon, evening?
Since I got the rest of the afternoon free, I figured I'd walk back with Cedric and Lucanus to the Marked Bird, and then maybe walk to the Temple of Morida to kind of like give it another shot.
Okay. You're gonna give it another shot, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we'll get to that in a little while. So Kay, you run home, and are you doing anything at home?
I don't know.
You don't know? Just
Reading, I guess. Yeah.
Just hanging out?
Yeah, just hanging out.
Friday morning after school cartoons.
In my room where I apparently belong.
After a little while of like hanging out, just doing whatever in your room, you hear a noise at the window, and it opens because you guys do have nicer windows, so the sort of shutters open, and Azzie sort of slides in.
Hi.
And his boots hit the floor, and hey, what are you doing up here in the middle of the day?
You told me not to leave.
Well, I just meant like don't go anywhere that's like not in town, because your friends are weird, and I wanted you to be here in case I needed to tell you stuff.
And I'm here in case you need to tell me stuff. Okay. And you weren't specific to say like the city limits or like your room, so
well, I thought don't leave town would sound kind of sinister.
Don't leave at all sounds kind of sinister. What are you
don't go anywhere. Calm down.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to see Leon, and he said you were at the docks, but then you weren't at the docks, and I got really confused. But okay, so you're here.
I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. So you're sitting down, I assume.
I am sitting down.
Okay. So I've got something really important to tell you.
Okay.
And on that, we're gonna end the story for today. Nice job, guys. Yeah, I know this was a really sort of role-play heavy and an investigatory kind of day, which is nice. We talked about fish and mermaids, which was an awesome little science sidebar. And yeah, you guys did a great job sort of finding out some information and following the trail of the stinky fish.
Except Peter, who was like, oh, I was supposed to find information?
It's called role-playing.
I'm acting. No, you guys did a great job. Do you guys have any other thoughts or things you'd like to,
I will be on the coast next week for the 10th. So my internet is literally a router that has a SIM card in it. So it like uses the however good the waves are coming in that day. It's been pretty good, so I'm just gonna like go for it. I've already set up like I'm busy. I'm doing this thing during this time, so hopefully keep your fingers crossed with it.
Cool. Okay, so everybody, cross your fingers for Nancy's internet because this storyline is going to be important for her.
Yeah.
So
I guess if it's not awesome, then like I don't know, have a backup plan just in case.
As for me, there's something going on in the background that I can't quite discuss yet, but I might have to be in a different place, in a different time zone.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Essentially, I don't know which side of the country I'm going to be on next weekend.
Everybody tune in next week for Peter and Sheryl talk for 3 hours.
Ryan will be back, and hopefully Nancy's internet will work. And Joe just said he might be in a different time zone than normal, but I'm assuming that means you can still
be over here in normal time, in real time.
I am not sure. So
okay.
I will let you guys know as soon as I do.
It'll be an adventure.
Yep.
It will be great. Yeah. Did we have any questions? Comments? No questions? No questions? Okay, well, if you're out there in internet land and you do have questions, feel free to put them in the Twitch chat or the Periscope chat or in the YouTube comment section, or I don't really know how you comment on podcasts, but, do the thing. Or you can tweet at us at Check Nature, or you can tweet at any of us individually. Our stuff for Twitter handles and whatever is down in the reference section. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. I am the Roving Naturalist on YouTube. Nancy and Joe are part of Ask an Entomologist on Facebook and other places. I don't remember where all the places are.
Twitter mainly.
Twitter mainly. And does anybody else have anything they'd like to plug?
Ask an Entomologist and that Addressing Uncertainty podcast that I talked about earlier, especially if you want to learn about insects and pain.
Insects and pain.
Nice. Is there like an episode number or episode title, or should your name?
I think my name is in the description. Honestly, it's something that just sort of came up in conversation, and I would have to look it up because I don't remember off the top of my head. But I can get it to Sheryl. She can tweet it out over the channel.
We'll do the thing. Anything else from anybody?
If you're in Maryland, on August 14th, I'm doing a Twilight talk at the Western Maryland Research and Education Center on squash pests, and if you want to come by and learn about vegetable and orchard IPM.
Vegetable?
We'll be there. Yeah.
How we squash the squash pests.
Than Cedric does. Yeah.
And to be clear, that's pests of squash plants, not how to squash pests, right?
Yes, that is true. Both even. Yeah.
All right, yeah. So we will be back next Saturday. So that's August 10th. Again, right here, 7 p.m. Eastern on Twitch and Periscope. Thanks everybody so much for following along with us, and we'll be back next time with more science and Dungeons and Dragons.
Bye.
Bye.